on. One of them now is in.
Now with Tamron Hall, you know her from 25 years in morning television. Now she's about to launch a new show. And there she is on the cover of People magazine with her new baby, Moses. Congratulations for that. Now I cannot believe this. I just said 25 years on morning television. You have the butterflies this morning.
I am so nervous. and then I had 2 bracelets on. One of them now is in George's pocket because I'm like, George, my bracelets are clanking. My hands are shaking so much. But yes, 25 years in television and my hands are shaking.
Well, let's talk about your baby boy, Moses. And we have a little gift for him. We saw him in the talks. We're going to give him a GMA onesie.
Oh my gosh.
How's it going? What is he, about a month old?
He's 4 weeks today.
Today
he's 4 weeks. We woke up this morning and my husband and I agreed that he can't sleep in the bed, but to make ourselves feel better, he has a dock-a-tot. It's like a canoe, a foam canoe. And he's in the bed. So we keep saying, he's really not in the bed because he's in the dock-a-tot. And I'm like, Stephen, no, he's in the bed. He's looking at us.
See how long you stick to that one. We tried that at the beginning too. It didn't last too long. But I know at first you were concerned about people knowing you were pregnant because it was a little high risk.
Yeah, it was a high risk pregnancy. And my doctor, who was amazing at the time, said, we need to wait. We want to take our time and make sure that everything is going in the right direction. I wanted to share the news, but I didn't want to. I know, I'm looking at my little chipmunk there. Honestly, I didn't want, if it did not work out, I don't think I was mentally prepared to tell people. Mm-hmm. I'd had other failed rounds of IVF, and you tell your friends, okay, this is it, and it doesn't happen. And I don't know if I was strong enough to be able to share the sad news. So when the happy news came, it was in Baby Shark version. When I announced my pregnancy, I was at home and I'd been hearing that Baby Shark song and I'm like, I'm owning this moment. This is us. So it was great. But people mistake privacy for secrecy, and I wasn't keeping a secret. I just so desperately wanted it to work out.
And we're so happy for you that it did. And you got so much going on right now. New baby, new husband, new show is coming up.
Yes. I love that my mom had the audience clap. I'll be sending your checks later. Yes, the new show, this is my first time on live television in 2.5 years. And when I left my last job, there was a photo of me leaving, walking across, I think, Fifth Avenue. And I look at that picture and I was just in a fog. I didn't know what was next. I had no idea. I had not started dating Stephen. I had not thought about going through this journey to eventually have Moses. I just knew that everything I was comfortable with was gone. And in the end, I had to, in a sense, lose what was the most important thing to me. I'd worked since I was 14. I'm from Luling, Texas. My grandfather, the first dad I knew, was a sharecropper with a second grade education. My mom was pregnant with me at 19. I was never the person that people would root for. I was the underdog. My story was supposed to already have been told. And there I was, losing something that I'd poured my entire life in. My grandfather used to tell me, you can do anything. And we didn't have paved streets. He's like, but you're going to pave the way. I'm like, to where? And I ended up just losing it all after, the feeling where you feel like you've worked, you've answered the calls, you go in and suddenly you're not the person they want. And I had to look myself in the mirror and say, but am I still Tamron? If there's no name beneath my card, if it doesn't say a show, if it doesn't say journalist, am I still Tamron? And I decided I'm still Tamron.
And that's what you want to bring to the show?
And I think that's what everyone wants to bring to their life. You want to believe that, listen, if I look at my bank account today and it's not the number I'd like to see, am I okay? Can I live to fight another day? One of my fondest memories, I went to Carroll Peak Elementary School in Fort Worth, Texas, second grade. I remember showing up the day after watching Rocky. I think it aired on ABC, shout out. And I was crying. I'm like in the second grade having an emotional reaction to the movie Rocky, because that sensation of getting up and believing that I'm on the map, but I don't have to stay there. So we want people on the show to talk about that.
You're on the map now. So many good things. Congratulations.
Thank
Tamron
you.
Hall Show premieres on September 9th. Check your local listings for that. Pick up the newest issue of People magazines on newsstands nationwide on Friday.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.
One of the common questions I get asked is, how did I transform my body in my 50s? Well, I can tell you it wasn't easy, because to start off with, I was getting it all wrong by doing the same things I did in my younger days and expecting results. What I did do to get it right is prioritizing strength training 4 times a week. Nutrition is absolutely key. So what I did do was getting protein in at every meal and snack, and getting a small amount of HIIT cardio, which I normally fit in straight after strength training, of anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes, 3 or 4 times a week. If you want to find out more about what this looks like, download my free.
All right, everybody, welcome to the show. Mr. DJ Music in the house, Sexy Red in the house, Gemini in the house. About to get this party started. Right now, we're going over some videos to give you a look into the wall. Gemini, what do you think?
If Tamron Hall has hit the wall, I want to slam into the wall like she did.
I hear that.
And this woman is over 50 and she's a fitness expert that we just saw.
Yeah, she is. She looks like she must be in her 30s, but she's actually over in her 50s. Not bad for her hitting the wall 30 years ago.
Right.
So I think she's doing pretty good. Let me keep it going.
Free Body by Bikini app and start my free 7-day program.
Yeah. Right, here we go with Angelique Miles. She's 53 years old. Hit the wall 23 years ago. Let's see what's up.
Product. Music okay.
In the house, you can't get laid. You can't get laid in the house. People up in the clouds, welcome. We're going to keep it going for you. Here we go.
Sexy and run up, pat up in a tights like it burn up. Skin clean, bleach out well chrome up. Gyal say make sweet like a donut. She turn it from back, if he never call up. The belly make she fall up. Spit up on it and chalk up. In time me roll up. When me corner or in a the cabin, the lizard laugh. Backbeat, the next door neighbor asks to stop the napkin. Bust two, champagne popping. And him like the balls in catching. Just tear off them stocking. Touch them gal when FIFA them matching. FMG, money stocking. Fat, sexy and run up. Pat up in a tights like it burn up. Skin clean, bleach out well chrome up. Gal say make see like a donut.
All right. Talking about another. If this is wall, she hitting the wall. She's 53. That's some. I mean, that must have been an awful soft wall. If you ask me.
What age is the wall again? I keep forgetting.
It's 30. It's supposed to be 30. That's what the dead man said.
Okay, so these women are. This woman is 23 post wall.
Right.
So do you hit the wall and bounce off? Is that what they're talking about?
Because
it must be. You must hit the wall and bounce the hell off. If this is 23 post wall.
Well, it seems to me bounce off or bounce up something.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds this is a very interesting. Very interesting. Let me keep it going.
If you never call up, belly make she fall up. Spit up on it and chalk up. Time me roll up, yeah. Cock up, 1 foot up, 1 foot up. Gyal a ball and a scream when me apply the pressure. Gyal a ask, say me get a sugar, lobster and conch me no feel bambula. Gyal a send me straight to Portmore for me score in her goal like Ricardo Fuller. She say please, I beg for little ease. If it change position, make she ride off his cooler. As how we do it, FMG a run the street. Touch a gyal a waist sport, touch the friend next week. Ever clean, clocks sneak on my feet. From me know you good, knock it on the concrete. Little and short, but me tell her what. Take where you gal, all if you drive Tunja. Get a message on me WhatsApp. Gal a text, I tell me, said she a come.
This is Angelique Miles. She is 56, and she still looks like a 27-year-old. Angelique was born on August 14, 1966, in New York City. Angelique.
Yeah, that's Angelique Miles right there, folks. Yeah, Jane Daniels has to say something, ridiculous. Oh, black women manage to hit the wall at accelerated rates. Yeah, well,
What's funny is that the average, like the most common cliche is white women age like spoiled milk. So,
it's funny to me that the guy who coined the phrase or stole the phrase, or what do you want to say, he hit the wall and then he hit the grave. So
no, he didn't hit the wall. He slammed into the wall, slid down into the grave. That's what happened.
He so did. So, I mean, you could keep the wall theory going as much as you can, but quite honestly, the fact that African American men, we die, sooner than black women, even the big Shirleys, by the way, that tells you right there. There's some there's a couple chinks in the armor. That basically that maybe that theory isn't as solid as you think. And then of course the Godfather, he kicked it at what time? What year? Talking shit. Went to the grave talking smack about women hitting the wall. That's pretty amazing to me, if you ask me. That's pretty amazing. So
it's poetic. It was just poetic.
Yeah, I'd like to kick a couple shout outs. ChicagoRilla in the house, Gemini in the house, King Lucifer in the house, Chevaun is in the house, Jay Daniels in the house, You Are Important is in the house. We have You Can't Get Laid in the house. It's funny to me. It's so ironic. I mean, I thought right now, at least, the Kevin Samuelites would chill out a little bit, would, maybe say, well, maybe that wall hitting thing, since the Godfather kind of passed early, that wall hitting thing, we might want to chill out on that.
You know what's funny too is that they love to talk about women hitting the wall, but we know that 80-year-old women are being violated by young men. So at what point is the wall hitting? Because as far as I know, these dudes are taking the little blue gas station pills at like 35. So I'm confused at what they don't understand about men hitting the wall. When you have to take something to get it up and to keep it going, you've slammed against the wall.
That exactly. I mean, basically, that's what the wall is. I mean, they're trying to say that the wall has some viability of sexual marketplace value, but the bottom line is this: is that they just made up the wall thingy just to try to lower a black woman's standards. I'm so glad so many black women laughed at that stupid theory. Basically, it made absolutely no sense. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. It's like, wow, I mean, really, at 30, they didn't even have a reasonable age for a wall. And you get idiots, idiots like Chantel Simone going, say, get the wild, hit the wall. She don't even know. She ain't even from here. Talking about trying to join in on the fun. Hit the wall. That's crazy. And explain how it was dumb. Jay Daniels said, explain how it was dumb. I will be happy to explain it. Jay Daniels, hitting the wall has a lot as pertains to, I guess, what the red pill thinks it is, has to do with somebody's life basically being over with, even if they're still alive. To me, really, quite honestly, Black men, the fact that we have a red pill system tells us already that we are the ones who are hitting the wall. Wait, let me stop this video. We're the ones hitting the wall. We're the ones doing all the complaining. We're all the ones complaining about our own women when other cultures are not complaining about their own women. We're the ones that though we can make children all the way into our 80s. Come on now, we can't get it up all the way to our 80s. Most of us don't even make it to our 80s, either
And
by
let's
natural causes and natural causes.
and
So
biologically, the sperm isn't even that viable at that age, and it does cause birth defects. So just because a man can procreate in his 80s doesn't mean that his sperm is viable and that the child won't have developmental issues, if not neurological and other types of issues.
exactly. Now, I mean, ChicagoRilla makes a good, I wouldn't call it an argument, statement. He says, hitting the wall traditionally has to do with athletes who have aged out of the viable competition. That makes logical sense. It's like when you can't basically, when a quarterback or a football player or a baseball player, a sprinter, you cannot viably compete anymore at that certain level. That's probably, in fact, I would think that was the original meaning of the wall. The stupidity to say a woman has hit the wall at 30 is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. It makes no sense whatsoever because these dudes, we know all these men be chasing after these 30-year-old women.
Now, okay, to that point, DJ, it goes back to this game that old men are running on young dudes. So if they're telling these young dudes women are hitting the wall at 30, they're only justifying why their creepy behinds are hitting on young women. But they're telling the young dudes, you can't hit on these women, you need to get your money up first, which they know getting their money up, according to Dennis Sperling, is late 30s to 40s.
Yep.
So Dennis Sperling is saying wait till you're 30 or 35 to 40 years old before you start hitting on 20-year-olds. So what they're doing is essentially putting the young men out of the game so they can have more game for themselves when they can't even function because they're big as all outdoors themselves while they talk about fit, feminine, and friendly. But they're sitting there in chairs that are extra large because they can't fit into a regular size chair. But they're telling everybody else, that there's something wrong with women while they look like they look.
Right, exactly. It's amazing to me because it's like, look at fellas, come on, let's wake up. Let's wake up here. You've seen attractive 30-year-old women. They do not look like they're hitting any kind of a wall. Here's a wall for you. Here is a wall for you. When you're you're not employed the way you want to be employed, you don't see a future happening in your life because you don't have things together. You can't get any women because you're not attractive either financially, mentally, or financially, stability, mentally, or physically. You're just not. Believe it or not, you don't have to be an attractive guy to attract women, but you do have to have something. And so, this is the problem y'all have, is that you're expressing this too much. Nothing from nothing. So instead of you, what's funny to me is this, is that you guys jumped on board with a 23-year-old boy, you know, flying for sex all over the world. If we want to, let's make it sound fancy for him. All over the world.
You mean all over the Latin
Right,
America,
for sex.
because it
And you
wasn't
guys,
all over the world.
right. And you guys rallied behind him, though he has to beg to you for money. Let's face it, he was no six-figure barber.
Essentially, he was a prostitute for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're paying him. They're paying him to live vicariously through him.
Exactly.
To take pictures with his shirt off and take a shower with his and show them himself taking a shower.
Right. I have never seen so many men oogle after a man who just got out of the shower with soap on him and everything. And right there, that tells you what's going on. I mean, come on. And now that's hitting. You want to know here hitting the wall when he can't even go back to Brazil. That's called hitting the wall right there. At least at the airport, right?
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, that's hitting the wall. Hitting the wall is thinking to yourself, having low self-esteem to the point where you feel like you have to insult Black women to feel better about yourself. That's hitting the wall. In the house, JP, nobody. That's hitting the wall. That's hitting it hard too. So if a Black woman is 30 years old, she only hits the wall when she thinks he hits the wall. Perfect example. I'll bring her back again, Chantel Simone. Look at the evil she spews. She is telling you, I hit the wall head first. And instead of her trying to fix her problem, what does she do? She goes full toxic. She is actually the woman that you don't want. She's nasty. She's mean. She's evil. She's jealous. She's all of those negative aspects that she literally promotes. That's called hitting the wall. If you want a perfect example of the type of Black woman to stay away from, Chantel Simone is the perfect example. In the house, Henry Mars. She is perfect. She's evil. She's nasty. She's dismissive. She's not submissive. You know that. Okay? Disrespectful. And what's funny to me, she's not even from here, but yet she wants to be seen as an expert on American Black culture. She ain't even from here.
Okay, so ChicagoRilla, however, is saying that Black, white, or otherwise are considered to have hit the wall when they reach the age of geriatric pregnancy. Attractiveness is a very small part of that description. So the viableness of a woman is predicated upon her womb is essentially what this dude is saying. However, society says differently. So a woman who's had cancer at a young age, say 20 years old, and has to have a hysterectomy. So in other words, she's hit the wall at 20 because she can't have children. Is that what he's saying?
Theoretically, I believe that's what he's saying.
Interesting. So a woman is no good if she can't have children. anymore. So no matter what the situation is that created this problem for her, she's hit the wall by their standard.
Exactly. I mean, it makes no sense to me, but that's basic. You know, we have to have a wall understanding. So basically, it was like this. This is what I get. So we have a man who is in his 50s, who soon after started spewing the wall theory, passes away himself with, by the way, not a wife, not a girlfriend or significant other, but a pro. Let's just face it, a 1099. Yet the ironic vibe of this, here is some dude who wouldn't even take care of his own health. I mean, to me, quite honestly, if you die, you've definitely hit the wall. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean. It's just, that's what it is. So this person wanted you to believe that some young woman, attractive or not, who's 30, because he said it was 30, hit the wall.
And let's be realistic, because a lot of these guys who are saying these things that talk about women hitting the wall themselves are diabetics. They have hypertension. They are near stroke level in their blood pressure readings. And because of diabetes and hypertension, they can't even rise to the occasion. So I'm confused about why they think that they're not slamming against the wall themselves. Shout out to Feisty Black Magic in the house.
Feisty Black Magic, welcome. Jay Daniel says this. This is really interesting to me. I'm going to love say every single person in this chat will die someday, one day. So I don't understand the point of mocking death. Kevin Samuels did. He mocked death.
He sure did. Didn't he mock Eartha Kitt's death?
Sure did.
So all of a sudden, because their favorite person expires, all of a sudden people aren't supposed to speak ill of the dead, yet they do, and they did. Didn't TS make fun of the young lady that expired and exploited her death? So I'm confused at how all of a sudden we're supposed to give homage to some dude who didn't care for Black women because they liked him.
Right. Exactly.
And they didn't care too much about him themselves, because you could look at that dude and tell death was at the door by looking at his eyes and his face. That fame and fortune that he was receiving was wearing really hard on his physical appearance that they all completely ignored.
Jay Daniel says, Kevin
you
Samuels
pull it up,
never...
ChicagoRilla. You go pull up the file. Nobody is doing homework.
Wait, hold on. Kevin Samuels never mocked death. That is a blatant lie. Well, Jay Daniels, we just mentioned that he mocked the death of Eartha Kitt. If you remember, he not only mocked the death, but he roasted her for 2 hours straight, using the Grinch as an image to compare to her. So I think you're a little bit off right there. In fact, you're dead wrong. So that's one thing. Let's just face it. He was just an evil man himself. He was just evil.
Facts. As Chevaun says, telling women they will die alone with no one, is that not mocking death?
Boom. Chevaun drops a gem. She got you good, JD. She got you good. Let's keep this rolling.
So first off, we're going to say happy birthday to Chef Babette. How old are you?
71. I'm so excited.
Talk to him, pretty lady.
Oh my God, yesterday was awesome. I actually celebrated my birthday with all of you because you guys were, oh my God, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, just giving a sister so much love. And I hope all of you understood the campaign I was trying to put on. And it was basically, that's why I entitled it Inclusiveness, because we're just so divided as a species, and we judge one another, and we don't like each other for the dumbest reasons. And I just felt like, rather than me standing up there being so superficial, if you will, just standing up in bathing suits, if I could just bring the attention to self-love, self-care, and this inclusiveness. That was the whole purpose of the shoot. And then, of course, to celebrate my 71st year on this planet in this human form. However, I have some challenges, like we all do. I strained my glute a few months ago, and if anybody's ever hurt their glute, you know that a glute strain or tear ain't no joke. So I've been dealing with it, but it just requires a lot of stretching, and you just got
pads.
Yeah, you just really got to be careful with it. So I told my trainer,
So wait a
I'm
minute,
not
DJ, pause
100%
it for a
happy
second.
with aspect.
How old is she again?
71.
And she looks like that. Okay, so because she can't have children, is what they're saying, she slammed into the wall. She's worth nothing now. Is that what that is?
That's what they're trying to say. Making up them rules as long as they go. You know something? You know, I'm up in age, right? So it's funny to me, I never heard of this wall theory back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
It only came up when these gremlins started making shit up. That's what's funny to me. It's funny to me because I'm older than Kevin was. I'm older than Kevin was. But I never walked up to a woman and said, "Oh, you about to hit the wall, baby. You better just go ahead and come out on this date with me because you hitting the wall."
Well, you know what's kind of ironic about this whole thing is that, did he not also have a video where he was saying that he loved women that were his age, and that was around 45 years old? Wasn't that what he said then?
Yeah.
So he changed once he got, a whole lot of followers, but I do distinctly remember him saying that women in his age range were the women that he wanted to date, that he found most viable.
Well, I guess he couldn't get them because he had to hire his own 1099 crew of 6 in rotation. You know, his rotation crew. You know, what's funny is that 71-year-old woman looks a lot better than Chantel Simone, who talks shit about other women. You know, she looks a lot better than Chantel Simone. Chantel Simone, she used to be fat herself, talking shit. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let's see what this woman has to say about hitting the wall, and we'll welcome ChicagoRilla to the stage.
My 35 and hitting the wall video is still making its rounds online. And I really want to know how y'all men can have the audacity to question me not being able to find companionship when you look at your mama dead in her face every day and you see how down bad a man had to be in order to sleep with her and have you. But you think that somehow us other women would have a problem finding a man? I think we safe if your mama was able to get somebody, right? But the fact that y'all men are online fighting for y'all life to get companionship, you on every dating app possible. You on Facebook dating. You're in DMs. You're in comment sections thirsting. Y'all are trying every way possible to get women. But somehow me, the single woman is 35, I'm not on none of that stuff. I'm not trying any way to find nobody. So exactly what makes you think that I'm single and lonely? Because all it would take is for me to hop on one of these different things and find one of y'all losers to entertain and play. The reality that a lot of y'all are having to start to face is that you're not in competition with other men no more. You're in competition with women's peace. And that's even worse than her being in a relationship and telling you the reason she don't want to talk to you is because she in a relationship. You now starting to hear that she don't want to talk to you because she at peace and she finding herself and she don't have room to entertain a man. That's the response that y'all are starting to get now, and y'all don't know how to handle it. You don't know how to process it. Some of us have zero interest in entertaining men, and that is tearing y'all up. It is tearing you up to know that I got God knows how many DMs on my Instagram. And regardless of what those men want, we'll never know. We'll never know if they want to smash, if they want a relationship. We will never know, because I will never be down bad enough to check any of the DMs and entertain any of those losers in it.
Mic drop.
Exactly, especially the part where she said, you know your mothers were down bad because they had you with that ugly dude.
Right. ChicagoRilla, welcome to the stage.
Yo, peace and love as always, family. What up?
What are your thoughts? What do you think? What are your theories?
Specifically around the topic at hand in terms of when women hit the wall, what I was putting in the comments was, where the phrase originated from. It's usually around athletes. The thing that I think we miss and mischaracterize, and let me say this as a premise for whoever skewers me in the comment section or whatever happens while I'm on stage. Kevin Samuels came into the space and he specifically said he dealt with a certain caliber of client, whether we believe that to be true or not, whether we believe he faked it till he make it, whatever. His premise was, I dealt with a certain level of client, and what these men were complaining about were when they got to a certain status, when they achieved a certain level of success or financial income, across the board, they were not finding women who were suitable for marriage. Now, the way that I came to understand him and follow a lot of his content, that's what I understood it to be. So I was always one to chew the meat and spit the bones. I didn't take most of what he said personally. Matter of fact, towards the end, when he did the whole, what is it? High value men don't cheat, they exercise options. I kind of checked out. That's just my personal take, right? I just kind of checked out, right? But when you talk about, if you subscribe to the theory that men kind of designate, what the relationship is when you're talking about a romantic relationship with a woman, who proposes for marriage, stuff like that. If you subscribe to that, then you have to also dissect what is important to a man based on the woman that he marries. And there's a hierarchy of needs, wants, and desires from those men, right? So
wait, can we define which men we're referring to? Because
sure, we could stick with blue collar and average guys, because that's who I tend to mostly speak to. So I don't want to do the high value stuff because I don't understand their world. But I think across the board, most men want to secure their legacy, right? So how do men secure their legacy? Now I know there's argument. I don't subscribe to the other side of this theory, but for me, my legacy is through my seeds. My legacy is through my lineage.
Can you go back a little bit? Can you go back a little bit and go back to the part where you were saying when they get to a certain status?
I don't understand what you're saying. I was talking about Kevin Samuels' premise. So is it relevant to what we're going into now?
I mean, you said it, so is it relevant?
Right. So I said what I think we misconstrue or mischaracterize about his messaging, and the premise of it is that he was speaking for his client base, whether we believe that client base existed or not, whether we believe he faked it till he made it or not.
No.
He was speaking.
It was the
Wait,
part
hold on.
It was the part where you were saying
I
about
know. Ma'am, I'm trying to help you. I'm not coming up here to be contentious with you.
So you don't think that I was talking about that part, because that's not the part I was talking about.
I specifically said he was speaking around high value men, and his clients were saying, wait. His clients were saying when they came to him and they reached a certain economic.
That's not the portion of your comment I was talking about. I was talking about the portion where you were specifically talking about blue collar workers. That's what I wanted you to go back and say. That's all.
Ma'am, if we rewind the tape, you said when men made it to a certain economic status. I literally just said the only time I even mentioned something like that was based on Kevin Samuels' clientele. I didn't say nothing about blue collar until Torch asked me to clarify, like, wait, who are we talking about? So I just want to clarify for you. That's what I'm saying. Just I'm in the middle of something and we can get there. But if there's a part that you confused on, and I conceded the point with Kevin Samuels, I said I'd much rather, when Torch asked me, I said I'd much rather deal with the blue collar because I don't understand that high value side.
Okay, so let's go to the blue collar side. So the blue collar is saying that their goal is to make sure they have children. Is that correct?
I believe most blue collar brothers want legacy, they want family, they want wives. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, why should a woman, why should that be? What you're saying is that, and that's why a woman in her mid 30s or early 30s is less value to a blue collar guy. Is that correct?
No, I think what happens is people conflate what he's saying, right? Because he speaks on the high value stuff. Listen, that's why I also put in the
Okay,
comments.
but I'm just asking you about. I'm just asking you about what.
Hey,
you
wait, can I pause this
what
really
you
quick, Torch? I don't
consider a
understand why we can't just have a rational adult
I'm just
conversation. Not
asking
you, Torch.
questions.
I'm
I'm
just saying.
just trying to get an
No,
understanding.
not you, Torch. I'm saying for the young lady.
But let's not worry about that. She's not talking right now. Let's move forward.
But she did just make a comment. But go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm trying to understand. You brought up blue collar men for a reason. Okay. You're saying because you work with them the most, and that I believe we both agree that we're not absolutely sure that even Kevin Samuels had any high-end clients. So let's move forward with the blue collar guys. What you're telling me is what blue collar guys want. Is that correct?
I'm saying in my experience, yes.
Okay. So let's go over what they want one more time.
Well, I said universal for any man. When he's selecting a woman, her fertility is going to be at the top of the list because he wants to secure his legacy and his lineage. And then everything else after that is going to be, kindness, fairness, peace, attractiveness. All that stuff is going to vary, man to man.
Is that why these guys chase after, 20-year-olds and 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds? And is that why they're doing it?
We're still sticking with blue collar average workers, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So in this day and age, you're saying in mass, you see blue collar workers qualifying or chasing after younger women?
Yeah, they may not get it, but that's basically what Obsidian was telling his crew to do. That's what Kevin was telling his crew to do.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I keep making the distinction, because Obsidian, and I know he has said, like, you're right. I'll concede that, because I think I have heard Obsidian say he speaks to and for blue collar. I don't know what it's like in Philadelphia. You know what I mean? I lived in Atlanta. I lived in Detroit. I lived in Chicago. Number one. Number two, older men going after younger women is not uncommon to any of us, right? And it's usually not for long-term relationships. It's usually for them going after fun. And most of those dudes get designated as creepy, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. So I just want to be clear there.
Yeah, the thing is this. It seems like to me, if all a man's goal in a relationship or a marriage is just to have kids, well, it does explain why I guess there are so many kids. That's for one thing. Because these dudes are only not really. It sounds like to me that basically these men are more focused on having kids than really having a growing relationship with a woman they can grow up with. Because if that was the case, they wouldn't be having all these kids.
As evidenced by statistics.
Yeah. So what do the statistics read again? How many black men
the
have
most quoted
children?
thing is the out of wedlock birth rate, which is what Torch said. They're more concentrating on having children as opposed to relationships. So the out of wedlock birth rate
yeah.
solidifies that.
Wait, but what is the exact number? How many men of what are we, 13 million of the population? I think 7 million of us are black men. And then we take into account, we look for percentages where men are locked up, incarcerated.
Over 80% of men by the age of 49 have children. By the age of 39, 65% have children. So what's the
wait, no. So we talking about, okay, you start, so the 80% that you're quoting, you're saying those men, 80% of men have children out of wedlock?
No, 80%
Okay.
of men have children, but we know the marriage
Correct.
rate amongst the black demographic is only 30-something percent.
So okay, I may be
low
lost.
30s, like 31 or 32%.
No, I'm just it could be me because I'm slow.
So a lot of these children are born out of wedlock.
Yeah, it could be me. I'm slow. I'm not even saying that to be like funny or nothing. Like I could be slow with the math. I'm asking you, of the men, of the children that are born, 80% are born, right?
Right.
Okay. What number is out of wedlock? Because we're saying majority of the men are impregnating women, right? When the number that I'm familiar with, and I get it if it's not a credible source, blackdemographics.com, 52% of men are unmarried and without children.
Okay, so
and that reflects in my personal life. Go ahead.
Let me dispel that, because it's impossible for 52% of black men not to have children. When you Google, you can just Google how many men have children, and it says 62% of all men in the US have children. So there's no way, even if you don't look at the rest of the statistics, there's no way that 50-something% of black men don't have them. If 62% from age 15 and up have children. So black men, we know, have more children than the rest of the demographic. So there's no way in the world that they can be lower than the national. No way.
I don't know, sis. I don't know mathematically that's correct. You're saying black, well, because what the statistic was that 50%, well, let me be specific. 52% of black men, right? Are childless.
That's not true. Again, at a certain age, you can say 52. From age 20 to 29, you can say that, because I think it's like 24.9%. DJ, on Google Keep, the black male fertility is on there. If you could bring it up.
Give me a second.
It's under statistics, facts, and data.
Well, it looks like this. Blacks struggle with 72% unwed mothers rate.
Okay, so according to the data, from age 15 to 19, 3.1% of black men have children. From age 20 to 29, 24.9% have children. From age 30 to 39, 62.5% of black men have children. That's age 30 to 39. Age 40 to 49, 80.5% of black men have children.
I think this is where we keep getting lost. You're giving me a lump sum number, ma'am, and that number that you are giving me would include men who are married.
Sir, you just asked me. Wait, you just
no. I'm just asking because you were saying out of wedlock, were you not?
No. We're gonna go by.
Ma'am, all you got to do is walk it down. It's okay.
No, sir.
It's okay.
Not today. You just asked me how many. You said 52% of black men don't have kids. I simply read you the data that states how many black men have children. So what is it that you're having a problem understanding? You're going back to something else.
Ma'am, I'm going to the premise that Torch. I respect y'all, man. I really do respect what y'all doing over here. I don't know why I'm seen as an enemy, or anytime I give a opposing view.
It's not an opposing view. You keep changing the subject.
No, I'm not changing anything.
No. You ask a question, I answer the question, and then you ask a different question that has nothing to do with what you just asked me, and you won't accept the answer that I gave you for the question you previously asked. It's you.
Ma'am, all I'm asking you is what is the data for out of wedlock births among black men? That's specifically what I'm asking you. I'm not changing nothing. I'm not adding nothing to it. But let me say this.
It's 70. I just gave
Wait,
you
wait.
that. It
No,
was
no, 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 no.
72%.
Let me say 72% of black men have children. So of the 77 million black men in America, not given for men who are, LGBTQ, incarcerated or other, you're telling me 72% of black men of the 7 million have children out of wedlock.
Obviously, if the marriage
I
rate is
got you.
only
Listen,
32%, if the marriage
Salud.
rate
I'm
is
gonna bid
only
y'all a good
32,
night.
if the
I hear
marriage
you,
rate
sis.
is only
You got it, sis. I
32%,
got you. I got you.
if the marriage rate is only 32%, then that means that those children were born out of wedlock. I don't understand why we're having a problem with the math.
Listen, because I went to an inner city school and y'all got it, man. Blessings to y'all. Hopefully at one point we could have like a substantive dialogue where ideas are allowed to be introduced, pushed back without being silenced or muted or pulled down or anything else. I don't want to disrespect y'all panel, man. I really, when I do come, I ain't invading y'all stuff, man. I ain't for no
Sir, you
Manosphere
can
stuff.
gaslight
I
all
really
you
do
want
try
to.
and
When you
add
get up
value.
here and you
I
try to
hear you when you
pretend
say
as
that
though
every
what you're
time, young.
saying and you're not going back and forth. Yes, I'm going to keep muting you because when you come up here and you pretend like you want to have a dialogue with people. Hi,
Hi,
Deonte.
Deonte. Welcome
When
to the
you
stage.
Yeah, when you pretend like you want to have a decent dialogue and that you're coming in good faith, but you're not, because every time we come up with something and we try to get an understanding of what you're saying, you change the dynamics. And so we went round and round about statistics that are very clear about the out of wedlock birth rate, about the fertility of black men, about the marriage rate. And so when we're going round and round and it doesn't come to the conclusion that you wanted to, you get upset and you start gaslighting and you start saying stuff like, oh, I don't understand why this is an echo chamber, and I don't understand why we can't have pushback. And no, we just can't have lies. We can't have alternate facts. That's all. That's it.
Deonte, welcome to the stage. How you doing tonight?
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Doing good.
Okay, I just wanted to say something. I kind of caught the back end of what was being said. But because those, I think we talked about this before, Jim and I think the first night I ever came on the show, we had talked about those particular types of stats or whatever. But it's so many different ways they can split those. But what I really wanted to say real quick is that it's something that I noticed a few years ago, and it all culminates with me keep coming back to this channel, is that I didn't really realize just personally how much like um black women as a specific group have really felt, how should I say, like marginalized outside of just us being lumped into one big community. It kind of takes me back to when Ice Cube was talking to the Soul Sister girls, I'm sorry, on the Fox Soul, and they said, well, what about black women? And he said, the look on his face was like, what do you mean black women? It's about black people, period. And
Thank you.
but they wanted to see something specific, and I thought they jumped on Ice Cube and went a little overboard because I knew where he was coming from, but I didn't. Listening to you guys night after night, well, when I do get a chance to listen, I see that this is what is needed for real. Like, I do feel like that a lot of black women feel like they're just being lumped into the black community and then put underneath black men, and they're not getting any kind of say or anything like that. So that's just because my perspective really changed a lot over the last couple of months, just really listening to that. I'm not saying I don't disrespect black women or anything like that, but I didn't realize how vehement it was, because it's a lot of times where I don't agree with a lot of things that are really being said here sometimes, but I do understand why it's happening. Because when I look back, like I don't get into the Manosphere no more after Kevin passed away, because it's a joke now. But he did have times where he was just beating up on women for the shock value. He would tell them they'd die alone, all this stuff. I didn't really like him saying that. I like when he stick to the serious stuff. But I see like sometimes, like I watch Pink Book lessons sometimes, and he pulls up all these viral videos of mainly black women doing crazy stuff, and both sides go back and forth. But I think that this is needed though, and I respect it a lot. But from what my guy was saying earlier, right before I hopped on, he was saying 7 million black men. It's more than it's almost 3 times that in this country. I think it's like what 22 million black men. But I don't want to get into the stats thing because we can split that a million different ways. So I just stay generally stat wise. I stick with whatever y'all go with, Gemini.
What you said is extremely important, and thank you for saying it. It's as though black women exist on this planet only in the shadow and underneath a black man. They're not seen as human beings. Like, they're not seen as viable creatures that need anything. It's as though black women are here only to serve everyone around them. And I don't just mean black men, I mean people in general. Look at black women as service. We are vessels fitted only for service to the needs of whoever wants whatever they want. And it is though black women can't ask for anything. We can't expect anything. We're not to want anything. If we want anything, if we say anything, if we need anything, we're seen as masculine. And I don't even understand how that's possible. Brittany, and this is just an example. Brittany Griner is put in prison in Russia, and all of a sudden there are other people who were in prison in Russia and were released, but they want this black woman to come speak for every imprisoned Russian American in prison in Russia. When something happens, it's black women's face. They want to come and do this or do that. Stacey Abrams out hitting the pavement left and right, trying to get black people to vote. And when it was time for black people to vote for her, where were the men and where were the other people to support her? Nowhere. It's as though black women have no right to feel. We have no right to ask. We have no right to seek. When we open our mouth and we open our voices, it's always taken as hostility. We're also told that at a certain age, because you can't have children, you're not viable, so you're not useful to society. Now, and this is a message that is put out by black men. So it's amazing to me that black men, and it's I'm seeing the name, so I'm going ahead and saying black men are treasonous to black women. There is no loyalty of black men to black women in the same that it's loyalty from black women to black men. And so now that black women are standing up and saying we're burning our capes, we're resting, and just like the young lady said, we're choosing our peace over men. Now all of a sudden there's a problem. When a woman like Ebony says, I'll date the man who owns the bus, there is a problem. As opposed to, she didn't say there was something wrong with the blue collar worker. And in what society would a millionaire woman be ostracized, demonized for saying she doesn't want to date someone of lower status? When there were kings and queens and kingdoms, a queen wasn't given to a peasant. A queen wasn't given to somebody who was just on the outer courts. She was given to somebody who had something so that some more could be created. Her wealth wasn't given away to just anybody. So at what point do black women get to be on the same level with other women and have their men understand that they should be on the same level with other women, as opposed to telling these black women, we know you worked hard. We know that you have this education, but we don't give a crap about it. We still want you to date down. We still want you to marry down. And we could just say date down, because the truth of the matter is, who the hell are black men marrying? Because they're not marrying by and large anybody. And they're definitely not marrying black women. So I'm just confused about what these men are saying and what exactly they want from Black women, besides for them to continuously burn themselves to keep them warm and keep everybody else warm.
I think that what's really happening here, and there's a lot of it is unspoken and subconscious, like they don't, people don't realize it's happening, but they're doing it, is that the Black community is in a state of terrible disunity. It has been for a long time, decades, right? And Black women have been keeping it together. And we have finally got to the point to where, because the men really don't know what to do. They have no idea who they are. Even the successful ones, it's hard to find them who understand who they really are as Black men, not just Americans. It goes way deeper than that. But the point is, they see that once the last bastion of hope for the Black community in America is the Black woman. Once she completely is just done with all of this, which I think a lot of Black men are starting to see that. Once she's done with all of this, our community will completely dissipate, and we're going to end up like the Native Americans, where we're just like, we have no choice but to always go along with whatever the government in America want us to do. We'll have no power. And
But we don't have any power already. There
oh no,
is no
I know, but what I mean is that I'm sorry, we are still, I don't want to get completely off of the subject, but we are still in a position to where we can grasp hold of it. Never before in history, at least the last 500 years, have we been in a position where we have this much knowledge, this much education, this much money as a group of people. We just don't pull together. So once you break that final string, which is Black women who's trying to hold everything together, then it's over with. Then they don't have no threat at all. I mean, like you said, like you get to the point to where they love Don Lemon. He's a Black man. He's super right, left wing, doing all of this stuff, whatever. He gets in trouble because he is right back to the subject. He told these women I came here a few months ago, that women hit the wall at like, or they reached their prime at like 40 something. And they were like, well, what do you mean? He's surrounded by women. And he was like, well, just Google it. Now, what he was trying to say, I think what he was trying to say, I don't really like Don Lemon like that, but it sounds like he was trying to say from being able to have children. But what it sounded like is that they can't do anything after 40, not just have children. They can't
Thank
think,
you.
They can't move.
Thank you for clarifying that. And that was my point when ChicagoRilla was up. And that was my point with his comments in the chat. And that's what I wanted clarified. Thank you.
Yeah, because it's just, that's not what they're saying. That's not what it means. Now, when Kevin Samuels in the red pill space, when they say hit the wall, they're talking about they're talking about the children. And then they're talking about this dynamic that they came up with. And they didn't just come up with this in the Manosphere. It's been going around for a long time, where it's like this concept of women are already born with their value, and it's their beauty, their youth, their womb, fertility, all of that. And it dissipates over time as they get older, more youth, and men are born with the potential of value, and they have to grow it. And you reach this point where between the age of 30 and 40, where men hit them 30s to 40s, where they start to really hit their stride in gaining value if they make it there.
But
women start to slowly lose
there. You said men hit their stride at what age?
So the concept is that men start to hit their stride between 30 and 40, and then after 40 is when they really blossom if they work hard enough.
And that's the thing too, because they're not looking at their. It's funny to me because they want to say women hit the wall because of fertility, but they don't talk about their infertility and their inability to produce because of health reasons at that age, because that's the age when they start having so many health issues, is that age. And so they start having hypertension, they start having diabetes. And let's not play, we know that the drugs that treat hypertension and the drugs that treat diabetes causes erectile dysfunction. So they love to talk about that with women, about the viability of their womb, but they don't talk about the viability of the man's fertility in himself when he reaches that age, because they don't want to talk about the wall that the men hit themselves.
I think the reason why, I think a lot of that is known, is just that the reason why they don't bring it up as something that is important is because One, like you guys already said, men, we don't outlive the women. One, they're gonna outlive us. I thought it was just a side joke when Kevin Samuels would always say you're gonna die alone. I used to think to myself, like, dude, like, even if they were happily married, most likely her husband's gonna die before she does anyway. So, but I think he was also talking about just the financial attachment that comes with it. But also, men don't have a cycle. We don't end on our ability to have children. So the men that are healthy enough to still get it going when the time is ready to go and have children, they can. I mean, I know men who have
Yeah,
children
but
in their
those men
60s
are
and
also leaving. Those men are also leaving these children fatherless. Like, who was it? What's that guy? I forgot his name. He was supposed to be the guru before. He was the godfather before Kevin Samuels. You know what I'm talking about? It wasn't.
I know Dr. Sebi had children when he was like in
No,
his 80s,
no.
but he's
I'm not
not
talking
like.
about him. This guy, he was some type of guru. They called him the Godfather before. He wrote books. He was an old pimp looking dude. He married a younger woman and they had a child and then he died. I think he died right after Kevin. I think he died right after Kevin Samuels.
I know who you're talking about. I just don't remember his name. Chris
David
something.
Carroll. Was it David Carroll?
Yeah, maybe it was. No, that's who it was.
And this is what I'm saying. So they're talking about legacies, but he didn't leave that child anything. Roger Allen Curry. That's who it was. Yeah, that's exactly. It was Roger Allen Curry. He didn't leave that dude. He didn't leave that baby anything. So you left a young woman in her 20s with a baby that she can't take care of, and that needed a GoFundMe for the funeral. So let's stop playing like these men are leaving legacies for children and generational wealth. That's crazy. That's asinine.
All right,
I'm
let me
sorry.
get some
Go ahead.
shout outs out of the way real quick. We have BF Rye in the house. We have Henry Mars in the house. Chevaun's in the house. We have Marvel in the house. Welcome, Marvel. Bucky's in the house. Michelle is in the house. May is in the house. Sim is in the house. We have Tiff in the house. We have Big Cap. Big Cap, welcome to the house. Jen J's in the house. We also have, let's see, we have here. Aiken is in the house. You Can't Get Laid is in the house. A Lady is in the house. Gemini's in the house. Orlandus is in the house. Act Natural Under Pressure is in the house. ChicagoRilla is in the house. Monica is in the house. The Treason is in the house. And I think Dusty Flair is in the house or in the clouds. All right. Let's keep it going.
I interrupted Deonte. Go ahead.
Oh no, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just listening to you.
Okay, so here's what I got from this. Basically, at least what I could dig up right now is this. 70% of children that are in the Black community are from unwed situations. Some of these, obviously, the guys, probably there's some repeaters in there. So I'm going to say it's 65. I'm going to go with 65%, not 50%. No, yeah, 65% of men have children. I'm going to do this on the as lenient as I can. And that's 65. It might be 70% of men, but that would mean that the same guy, but there's always a possibility of the same man having children with different women. So that's why I'm going to say that. So we are at 65%. That's how many, which is different from the 50% that was in Black demographics. The one thing I need to state is the Black demographics is not the end all be all to all stats. So that's one important item to really put into perspective. It's just not. It's one data. Let's call it one data bank.
And
out of
it's not
hundreds
even,
of data banks.
and it's a lone person doing that data. It's not as though it's
Right.
even equivalent to Pew or the census or anything, any.gov.org. It's not even equivalent to that.
Right. For all we know, it's Kevin Samuel's buddy, and they started that whole website. For all we know, so this is what I have here, and then we have this right here. Let me bring this up. Hold on. Since this has become something important, Moss will bring it up. Okay, so 80% of up to the age of, well, no, that's only up to 50. So from 15 to 50, 80% of Black men have children, okay, up to the age of 50.
No, 40 to
40 to 49, that's 50 to me. I'm just rounding it
yeah,
off.
40 to 50, 80% have children.
Right. So basically, that's a lot of kids. Okay, we can say 30% of this 80, it's still going to be in this 30% of the 80. That's a lot of kids out of wedlock. It's any other way you look at it. It's not no 50%. It might
can't
be in
be.
a certain group, a certain age group, but it's not for.
That's Asian men. That's not even Black men. You were pointing to that one.
Oh.
That's Black men right there. So the
Yep,
only
62% from
right.
30 to 39. Just let me make sure if I got this right. Yeah, from 30 to 39, 62% have kids. So there's no way it can just be 50% because you got to chop off 30. Even if you chop off the 30% of men that got married, it still ain't going to come up to just 50% of Black men having kids. So let's go back to this one. Let me close this up because I don't want anybody to see what I'm shopping.
Okay, and let me say this, since these people are saying something about stats and not agreeing. The thing that people don't agree on is not the stats, it's the interpretation of the stats, because everybody is not equipped to interpret stats. So what you have is a lot of people misinterpreting the data. And when you misinterpret the data, it's likely someone who's never taken statistics, never taken an upper level course in statistics. So yes, there's nothing wrong with the data. It's something wrong with the people interpreting the data. So go ahead and take you a stat class and you'll understand how stats are put together, because there's multiple dynamics that go into gathering the information. There are stats that aren't viable. The stats that a lot of people like to talk about, which are stats that come from self-reporting and surveys, those aren't the most viable. That isn't viable data because it's subjective and it's predicated upon people giving an honest answer to the questions that they're asked. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with stats. You just need to be able to look at stats, understand them, and know where the data is coming from. And so I always ask people a specific question when they bring stats, because I already understand that a lot of people don't know what they're reading and they don't know how to read that. So there's nothing wrong with the stats at all. It just depends on where you get it from, how it's collected, and the source and how it's collected.
All right, so we're going to get back on track here. But basically, to simply put, 70% of children are born in the Black community are born out of wedlock. So there's really nothing you can do with that to make it sound good. So
wait a minute. Let me address this comment. King Strong, ma'am, a whole statistician whoever that is, has already broke these stats down and explained how over 50% of Black men between 18 to 50 don't have children. Laugh out loud. I am laughing very loud because there's no way that the Black man has less than the national average of children. So you can send your statistician, whomever he, she, it is, over here so that they can explain this, because obviously they don't know how to read data. Thank you very much for participating.
All right, let me kick some shout outs. New people, King Strong in the house. Michelle is in the house. We have Henry Mars is in the house. Properly Disrespectful is in the house. And May is in the house. And Quita is in the house. Hi, Quita. And let's see who else. All right, I think that's all the people are here now. Let's keep this going.
Of my body, especially my lower body. And so going forward, that's what you guys are going to be seeing a lot of me working to improve my legs, my butt, and all that area. Because strength is just, it's important to good quality of life. It doesn't matter that I'm 71, I still need to be strong and I still need to move. So once again, thank you guys so very much for all of the outpouring of love. And for those of you who didn't get it, and you maybe you will get it. Anyway, I love y'all too. Have a great day. I'm out.
All right, let's get this workout on.
Yeah,
leg day. We're gonna do a little arms too, but legs mainly. All right, let's work.
I'm ready.
All right.
All right, let me stop it right there for a minute. All right, to the stage, Creative Solutions. So I'm going to ask Creative, what is your theory on the wall?
I don't believe in the wall. I don't think anybody hits the wall unless they really don't take care of themselves. They don't grow. But there's always a chance that you can change. So I don't believe in the wall. I think the wall is imaginary. I think these guys like to say the wall, to make themselves feel better about their situation, about who they are, and for their shortcomings. It's nothing to do with the woman. It's nothing to do with anything like that. It's all about them and their self-esteem.
Well put. Deonte, I don't know if I posed that question directly to you. What are your thoughts about the wall?
Was basically what I was saying earlier. I think that beyond the ability to have children, that I agree with Creative Solutions. At that point, it's really just about if you're able to keep yourself in a certain type of healthy state. But let me ask something to the ladies. It's something I noticed. One of the things about the wall that guys like to talk about is the ability to attract a certain number of men, right? So obviously when a woman is like younger in her teens, 20s, and 30s, when she's more youthful, I guess, she can attract many men. Inboxes off the chain. I've seen a lot of females inboxes on Facebook, Instagram. I'm talking about, it's crazy. I'm talking about like this average women have so many people blowing them up. But it's like, so what happens? Men think that when you get to those late 30s, 40s, 50s, especially when you, if you gain weight, you have children, whatever it is, that starts to slow down. As many men who are like hitting on you or that are trying to get at you or checking for you. So that's the part I think that the wall that most men are really talking about when they say a woman hits the wall. And that's what I want to know. Like, is that true in any type of way?
No.
I mean,
Never.
you can't ask us that because we didn't create the wall.
No,
I'm gonna say that's not true.
I guess that I should.
I got
Okay,
cousins.
yeah,
I got a cousin who's 42. She still pulls a lot of men. Even my mom. My mom looks pretty good, and she's like 50 something, and she can still pull men. And so, yeah, that's not true.
Yeah, because see, I was thinking that because see, I'm a when I was like younger, I used to tell my dudes, I was like, listen, my age ranges from 18 to 58. Like, cause I love, older women, all types of women or whatever. But I think that also it's about like the type of man. Cause if it's one of the things that they talk about, Kevin Samuels love to talk about with the high value man, right? And one thing I do agree with him with on that is that when it comes, especially with the income, it is only, if you start off with 100,000 a year, it's 10% of men, and
Well,
then you
you
keep
know what,
going all the way up
Deonte,
to the 1%.
can we, I just hate that. I hate the dollar amount because it's nobody ever talks about how it's predicated upon location. So the value of the dollar is different in different areas. And so
No,
people
yeah, you're right.
And so people think that someone making 100K is so it is high value, but not if you're making 100K in New York or California or Washington State. No, you're not high value. You see what I'm saying? Because the cost of living is very different. So your 100K in California, New York, Washington State is like somebody in it's like somebody's is
Probably
essentially
30
like
or
50K.
40K.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah. So it's not the same thing. And because they place this dollar value on it only, it's insane that you have this demographic of men who feel entitled because they figured out, okay, I make 100K, so now I'm a high value man. No, you're not. Like, it's not just predicated upon the dollar bill. It's predicated. Oh yes, I'm sorry, Tiff in Hawaii. It's predicated upon your character. It's predicated upon your fiscal responsibility. Is predicated upon your emotional stability. It's predicated upon you as a whole individual, not just the dollar amount that you're making. And it's insane when you see some of these guys saying, oh, I make 100K, and you're looking at them like, oh my God, look at you, listen to you, you're drunk every weekend, you're inebriated on panels. So how do you figure that you're a high value man when you can't even stay sober to talk to anybody? Like, you're literally dropping beer on yourself online. That's crazy.
Yeah,
No,
let me read.
yeah. Oh,
Give me,
go
give
ahead.
me,
I'm
give
sorry.
me 1 second to read King Strong and reply to this. King Strong says men with options are gonna pick the best woman, not woman they can get. Older women past their prime are not included in that. Now, this is the interesting thing is that really basically a woman who, in my experience, and I'm probably older than everybody here, a woman who is attractive, regardless of age, they don't have trouble, attracting men. And that's I'm sorry, fellas, but that this myth is not. Secondly, men with options are not necessarily good men. Here's a good example. AB, Antonio Brown. Is he really just, really, let's face it, he's high value, right? He has
No.
options, right? But really, does who in the right mind really wants to be with somebody who's that nutty? Kanye West is the same thing. Why would you want to be with somebody who's so haunted and mentally haunted? So, that's just one aspect. And then other men with options. Well, let me go back to what I remember the conversation with ChicagoRilla. He was mentioning that he works with blue collar, so that is the guys he's going with. So do blue collar men have options? Because he was focused on them. Because let's face it, high value men, they're really not the main. They're not the main stock anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That was just a myth. So the thing is this: blue collar men, by being blue collar, really technically that's a wall you have. That's why everybody got mad at Brandy. Ebony, because she reminded them, and whether she did it nice or not, she reminded them they hit the wall of money. There's
Like
nothing wrong with it. unless you make something wrong with it. And that's why it was so interesting for me to see this, is because here's a woman just that's reminding you who's, I should remind you, who's a millionaire. I looked it up. She's got $3 million in the bank. Okay. So she's got $3 million in the bank. And I'm sorry, fellas, if you are blue collar, for her, including me with you, we have hit the wall. We have hit the wall. Black men, we have hit the wall. Is it bad and should we bury ourselves now? No. But conversely, it's the same thing when you start using this stupid theory about what was the sexual market value. What the fuck is that? Number one, you're supposed to be looking for a relationship market value. This is where Kevin was wrong again, because Kevin never had a peaceful mind. Black women value peace. Black women value relationships that work. That's why, guess who? Van Zandt got out of her relationship, because she valued peace more than she valued being married. Now, as many faults as this woman had, that makes sense. For her to go after Ebony the way she did was pure stupidity, in my opinion, because she is in no position to be criticizing a non-married woman when she put herself through hell, married to a man who basically turned out to be Pookie. That's the deal. That's what we're working with here. So yes, of course, blue collar men, look, we hit the wall. If you say money, you said women, it was your godfather that said that women value men of value. When it comes to general value, being blue collar is not value. Okay? So we hit the value wall. The value, no pun intended, of this conversation I'm giving you is this. You could raise your value. Some of us, it might be too late. But for many of us, especially if you're younger, you can raise your value, and then you can raise the value of women you can pursue. Or that will, if you're on point, that will pursue you. But don't be telling nobody that they hit the wall and financially we've hit the wall. What did Kevin say? 43.5K a year. That's a big ass wall, if you ask me.
For the lifetime.
For the lifetime. 43.5. That's a big ass wall. That means that there's more men that hit the wall than there are women that hit the wall. We need to worry about our wall. Because if you worry about your wall, you will build your worth so that your wall, steps down a little bit. But don't try to belittle people, in this case, black women. You can't belittle women into liking you. And we haven't even gotten to the emotional aspect of this. Having character, having kindness. I mean, let's face it. Kevin himself admitted that he had to pay women to be around him. Did he or did he not brag about having 1099s and a rotation of 6. There is nowhere and no way you can make that sound good if you sit down and you think about it. You're either a high-priced Pookie, you're either a high-priced Trick, and you have to pay people to be around you? But fella, by God's sakes, you got to let that sink in. It's okay.
Jenny B says, King Strong, but y'all aren't the men with options. Why are you guys volunteering to work as a liaison for high value men, wealthy, rich men, etc. is beyond me.
Right.
And that's the thing. They love to speak about things that they themselves are not in proximity to. Like, you're not in proximity to these men, but you want to speak for them. And then King Strong said that it went up to $50K in 2022. And my response was, well, it's still the equivalent of 43 with inflation. Like, rent skyrocketed. And most of these guys are renting. They don't own their homes, they're renting. So rent skyrocketed. Wages didn't increase unless you're working for the federal government or, your active duty service. Your wages didn't increase significantly. So he comes back and says, Gemini, I don't know about that. I just seen 50K. Didn't know if they accounted for inflation or not. No, they never account for inflation when they give the lifetime average earning of a person. Inflation is of no consequence.
Let's check. I'm going to check this out. Here we are. This is Caucasian wealth here. This is black wealth down here. That's a freaking wall, if you ask me. Even with discrimination, we should be around here.
Well, the median is lower than that.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that, folks.
And what's crazy is, we can talk about that, but we also have to include the debt.
Yeah.
We have to include the savings. Most people aren't being fiscally responsible, and they have debt. They have credit card debt. So they're actually operating in the severe red at all times.
Gentlemen, there's your wall. There's your wall.
No, I agree with you, DJ, with that. So if you want to come from that, I'm not saying you, I'm just saying specific, generally, coming from that perception of, if men want to say that females have a wall because of their fertility and because they're getting older, or whatever they want to say, then yes, then you can flip it on the other side and say, well, men have a wall that they hit then, financially, the ability to provide, if it's only going to be at that average level like that, which is really below average if you compare it to all the men in the country. Now that's something a little different, and that's why I wanted to say, Gemini, a little earlier, was that I don't know how many, like, let's just take white men, right? I don't know how many white men it is in the country, but I'm guessing it has to be at least 4 to 5 times white men than black men. So not to mention that they're going to get, they're just going to get the hand up before black men do in a lot of situations. But just like you said, though,
but a lot
DJ,
of times they create their hand up as well.
Oh yeah, they do, but a lot of times it's also not to get off of the subject, but it's like the situation with the Asians who were taking Harvard to the Supreme Court, so they want Harvard to take off the race for the entry.
Let me say this before you go forward. You do know that the greatest beneficiaries of affirmative action were white women and Asian women.
Yeah, because see, it's the same thing. Like when they say people of color, they lump us in. They say, well, people of color.
No. It's not the same thing, because they benefited over us. So we weren't put in the same pool.
No, that's what okay. What I mean is, when they say people of color, right? Like say people of color in Atlanta got 20% of the city contracts this year. they'll say that as a broad stroke and hope that black people will be like, oh, that's cool, 20% of us got it.
Right.
When really what happened was 3% of black people got it, and that other 17% went to Asians, Hispanic. So like what I was saying was that the Asians found out that if they only went off of only test scores, that 70% of the students at Harvard would be Asians and not white. And that lets you know that Harvard, they don't care about the test scores as much as they want a certain group of people in that school every year.
Not only
It's
that,
the
they
same
want
thing.
the money from that group of people too, because
Yeah, but
those families are able to donate millions
yeah,
and millions of dollars.
and that's what I mean. So it's like, but even with all of that being said, DJ is right. We still should be able to be higher than what we are. But we don't push that. I mean, in our community, all we push is, I'm just saying for my father in particular, he straight up pushed just sport, and two of my brothers made it to Division I college, and one even made it to the pro, and he put so much time and effort into it. And I was thinking to myself, like, man, if he would have, I don't blame my dad for that because he created two successful, athletes like this, and they benefited from it. But still, it made me think, like, if black men would put the same effort into their children with education and with not even just education, maybe with just finances, all of that. Because most of the millionaires in this world and billionaires aren't even college graduates, but they understand how business works and how to grow wealth from $100 to 100,000 to 1,000,000 and more. We
On
don't put
that
that kind
point,
of effort in.
what you're talking about the athletes, on that point, it's sad. It's extremely sad and disheartening if you look at the amount of black men who have obtained wealth as an athlete, and yet there's no wealth in the black community. Think about
Because
that.
they go broke, man. Listen, you would not believe, like, these people go broke. I've seen it up close, how it happens. Like, money they spend it, they think it's going to keep coming in. They never had this type of money in their life. When these broke black families get somebody who gets this money, whether it's from rapping, athleticism, whatever, they don't know how to handle it. And all of a sudden, this 18 to 24-year-old child who knows nothing about finances, nothing about life, they become the leader of the family. And the mother and father is like yielding to this kid, basically. It's like they're almost afraid to talk to him about it because they don't want to get cut off from anything. And it's happening
But
across the board.
that's the problem. And I want us to really sit right there, even though we're veering from, the topic, and we can have another live about this, but that in and of itself speaks volumes, because the men in the Manosphere, the men in Red Pill, all these men want black women and women to follow their lead. But look at the amount of athletes that have mostly, almost all the males, all of them are males. Let's just be frank, because the WNBA women aren't making that kind of money. The men are making that kind of money. These are the men that should be leaders. So why is the community looking like it looks when billions of dollars have gone through the hands of black men? Billions.
Yeah, it's a lot that goes into that as well. But one, they're afraid to work together. They're afraid to actually put their life. I've seen these dudes trick off $100,000 at a club, but they're afraid to put 20,000 of that into a hedge fund. Like, I'm like, dude, but you just paid like 5 strippers bill. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you would never see these girls again. But you afraid to put 20 of that into a hedge fund for 5 years? It's like when you get drafted to the NFL, they got a rookie symposium, and they let them talk to financial advisors, all kind of money managers. They give them cards, everything. Most of them
Yes.
dudes just throw that junk in the bag and toss it in the back seat.
Well, just
Never even see it again.
slow down. Yes, they get financial advisors. They get financial advisors. So
They
that
get
lets you
introduced to them,
know
yeah.
that lets you know how much they value what they have and what they've been given. They don't value it because they're not even taking the advice from financial advisors who are given to them so
I'm
that
saying
they can
most
keep
of
the
them won't
wealth
even
that
take
they
it.
have.
So what I'm saying is, okay, so at the symposium, what they do is they introduce these guys A lot of these guys come after the draft picks personally. They reach out to them and everything. I managed my brother while he was in the pro, and I'm like, oh my goodness, these people are coming out of nowhere. But you will be, no, you wouldn't be surprised. You already know how many of these guys, they turn it down. They all think I can handle my own money. It's like they do the same thing with lottery winners. Like we was kind of talking about that before with that one lady who won, where they all these financial advisors come out of nowhere, and I don't mean come out of nowhere like they're trying to use you, like they're really trying to give you good business, but nobody wants to be put on a leash, how should I say, with their own money. They're like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take 80% of your money, put it here, other 20% here. We're gonna put 5% in this account, and you're only gonna be able to spend this much every month, and this amount right here is gonna be your pocket money. And we're gonna do this for 10, 20 years. They don't want to hear that. They trying to go and buy a damn Bugatti for $3 million. So it's like they just want to play, and it's just a vicious, terrible, vicious cycle. See, a lot of these kids work hard as hell. It's a lot of work they put in as athletes. A lot. People don't realize that because they got to go to school. Y'all done been to school, college. You know how much work you got to put in and work a job and put in 28 hours a week in the football field to make yourself a millionaire for just 2 or 3 years and go broke. Then you end up at McDonald's. It's embarrassing for a lot of them.
CKE 22474 says, say it louder for those in the back. If Ebony was Edward, no one would tell him to go wife up Wanda in the post office. Tyke Whitehead said, why is it that men need to be of money value to get the woman, to get the women? Why don't they say, I want to do better because I want to do better? Did you want to move forward, DJ?
Yeah, I do have would like to get Chester's point of view if you want to come up, Chester. Basically, this is the confusion of the wall, is because let's say a man finds a woman and she wants to be fit, feminine, friendly, submissive, cooperative. We just went over the problem, the financial wall Black men we have. There's no way at 43.5, that's what Kevin said. I know that you might make a little bit more or make a little bit less than that. But at 43.5, do you really believe you can have a stay-at-home wife? You would literally have to own your house, your car, your property, and have absolutely no financial shortcomings. See, he didn't tell you about that, did he? No, Kevin didn't. He told you how much you make. You guys agreed, 43.5. Some of you make 60, some of you might make 100. But basically, average 43.5 through your lifetime. Did you really sit down and really think about whether you can really run a household with a fit, feminine, friendly, submissive woman? With 43.5, you're literally telling her to go to Walmart to buy some sandals. And love it. You would have to have the very best character and personality ever. And you'd still struggle. It's still struggle love. it's going to take 2 incomes. So of that fit, feminine, friendly, submissive, and all that other shit, what are you going to what are you going to sacrifice? That's what you should be asking yourself, because that's where you are right now. You're not getting that. On top of, and remember now, Kevin Samuels had that old grading system, remember? You can't use 7 though. On a scale of 1 to 10, you can't use 7. Scale of 1 to 10, you can't use 7. And you laughed at, you were goggling, you were considering 6s and you were laughing at 5s, because remember, 5s were average at best. And you were laughing at them. An adjustable 6, remember? Adjustable 6 could look like an 8, remember? If you want to play this numbers game, you want to play the game, here we go. So, you're at 43.5. You're laughing at average at best. You want fit, feminine, friendly, and submissive. And oh, by the way, no wall chicks, right? And I'm rudely saying chicks just so you guys know I'm talking to you. When does this start to look unrealistic to you? And are you mad at black women? Are you just mad at your situation? 43.5. No average at best, because Godfather told you average at best are women that you can laugh at. Adjustable 6s are only considered. 7 you can't grade. So you're looking at, you want an 8, 9, or 10. An 8, 9, or 10 at 43K, you're probably renting. If you're not, you're blessed. If you own your house straight out, you're blessed. Now you see the conundrum you're really in. Has nothing really to do with black women, because really, quite honestly, if you really thought so low, or you do think low of black women, because you've convinced me. You've convinced me to the point where I'm a fan of Cynthia G. That's how much you guys have convinced me. So let me go over this one more time. 43.5. Average at best is to be laughed at, so you can't get with a 5, right? A 6 is an adjustable 6, but that's not proper for you Kevin Samuelites, because remember now, you're looking at an 8, 9, or 10 at 43.5. You expect to keep it 8, 9, or 10. So then you throw in the wall. Wow. Then an 8, 9, or 10 can easily be in their mid-30s. You've all seen that. But no, you're throwing that out too, because she hit the wall. This is no wonder why you guys are miserable. I don't blame you with this psychological effery that you yourself and your godfather is putting you through on how to select women. I can see why you are miserable and mad, but you're barking up the wrong tree. You're barking up the wrong tree. I mean, think about it. Look how many women you have just disqualified. Oh, shoot, I forgot about how Kevin, you know, baby mamas. Oh, you stepfather, that's some bullshit. Remember, he said that, even though y'all ain't getting married anyway. So I don't know why he even brought up stepfathers. Man, look how
Well, the
many
thing about it
women
is,
you are disqualifying yourself from.
well, the thing about it is, they don't want single mothers to get married because they don't want women to be happy, and they definitely don't want the mothers of their children to be off the market because they still want to have sexual access to her.
Exactly. I mean, this is a whole lot. I mean, what other, oh, okay. So let's say you guys were sold at 43.5 and were high value or seemingly high value. How many of you guys are really just getting your interracial date on with all of these other races of women? Because the stats say, including on Black demographics, are saying that all you dating is Black women. I mean, how long has that law's been out where you can date and marry white women? It's been a pretty long time. Asian women, Latina women. You know, what? You're up to maybe 6%? 6% of you date Caucasian women? 6%. I'll give you another couple of, I'll give you another couple points. Let's call it 8%. Just because you guys have been bashing Black women hella hard. So that promotion you've been running on Caucasian women and other women, that's probably been working out pretty good. And the stats haven't been updated lately. So I'm going to round it off to 8%. I mean, Gemini, doesn't 8% sound like a pretty good, from 6 sound pretty like a pretty good stat?
For what?
For Black men dating out.
I thought it was 13.
That's total. That probably includes, Asian women, Latina women. This was just strictly for Caucasian women. Let's raise it to 15 for all women. How about that? 15%. You would think, though, since it's been legal for everybody, if Black women were so bad, you would think over, 50, 60 years?
They would be married. And in marriages that lasted. If Black women were the problem, Black men would
not
be
only married, but that percentage of that 15 would be more like 50.
Right. Well, more over that. Because only 30% of 32% are married to, of the 32% that are married, 80% are married to Black women. So you would expect that number to be higher, their marriage rate to be higher. And if the problem was strictly Black women, they would have all dated and married out if they wanted to be married. So it's clear they don't want to be married at all. They just want to sit back and complain.
Right. And I recall that basically from what I was watching on the Sin channel, and yes, I'm going to rub it in you guys' face. Yeah, she brought up some stats. Black, white women, Caucasian women, what defined as preferences, they're not left any better off than Black women when they interact with Black men.
Oh, we have so much on that as well. Especially their little angry offspring.
Yeah. So back to the wall. It was a long ride. I want to play this young lady one more time, if you don't mind. Okay, Will List going on here. Hold on. Let me refresh.
My 35 and hitting the wall video is still making its rounds online. And I really want to know how y'all men can have the audacity to question me not being able to find companionship when you look at your mama dead in her face every day and you see how down bad a man had to be in order to sleep with her and have you. But you think that somehow us other women would have a problem finding a man? I think we safe if your mama was able to get somebody, right? But the fact that y'all men are online fighting for y'all life to get companionship, you on every dating app possible. You on Facebook dating. You're in DMs. You're in comment sections thirsting. Y'all are trying every way possible to get women. But somehow me, the single woman is 35, I'm not on none of that stuff. I'm not trying any way to find nobody. So exactly what makes you think that I'm single and lonely? Because all it would take is for me to hop on one of these different things and find one of y'all losers to entertain and play. The reality that a lot of y'all are having to start to face is that you're not in competition with other men no more. You're in competition with women's peace. And that's even worse than her being in a relationship and telling you the reason she don't want to talk to you is because she in a relationship. You now starting to hear that she don't want to talk to you because she at peace and she finding herself and she don't have room to entertain a man. That's the response that y'all are starting to get now, and y'all don't know how to handle it. You don't know how to process it. Some of us have zero interest in entertaining men, and that is tearing y'all up. It is tearing you up to know that I got God knows how many DMs on my Instagram. And regardless of what those men want, we'll never know. We'll never know if they want to smash, if they want a relationship. We will never know, because I will never be down bad enough to check any of the DMs and entertain any of those losers in it.
So I want to get some observations.
Can I read this comment real quick?
Sure can. Oh, absolutely.
From Chester. Want to know what the wall is? Look at Bridget Fonda. So I had to Google who he was talking about. And it's a 59-year-old white woman. I mean, I know the name of the show. I know, comprehension and reading might be a problem for some of them. The title was When Do Black Women Hit the Wall, right?
Chester, I dropped the link just for you.
Right. So
Come
why
through, bro.
why is he talking about an old white woman hitting the wall?
I mean, and she did hit the wall. What's funny to me is that before the whole Kevin Samuel light thing started going on, right? There is this term called black don't crack. We just showed you a 71-year-old woman looking perfectly
I think we
fit.
should just keep rolling the tape because I'm really ready to land the plane, but I really want to land it at the oldest woman that we have.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. I think we've gone over this wall theory pretty well. So I want to bring up.
I do want you to show the Nick Cannon sneaky link one though. I want you to show that one before the oldest one.
Okay, let me see if I can get that.
It's down. Yeah, the Nick Cannon. Yeah, that one.
Okay, here we go.
We get sneaky freaky. Wait till you see our guest hidden talent. Don't. Welcome back, family. Thank you for welcoming me into your home. But I gotta be honest, I enjoy being a freak. See, get your mind out the gutter. I'm not talking about that type of freak. Talk about we all got a little inner freak in us, freaks of nature, unique abilities, unique hidden talents that should be celebrated. That's what I'm talking about. And ain't nothing wrong with being a little freaky. I made it this far by being freaky and different and unique. And some people have these hidden abilities. And that's why this segment is called Sneaky Freaky. Oh, yeah. Hidden talents, hidden.
Let me fast forward.
Y'all get your minds out the gutter. Okay. Mason talking about pole dancer. Get your mind out the gutter. It's time for the reveal. Let Miss Wendy do it. Miss Wendy, tell us why you're sneaky freaky.
I am sneaky freaky because I'm 69 and I'm the oldest active fitness instructor in the world.
Y'all make some noise for Miss Wendy. Wow. Wow. I bow down before you.
That looks fit and feminine to me.
69. Wow.
And this was a year ago. She sounds 70.
My life.
She
You
sounds
lie.
70
What's
years
up,
old.
chest?
Oh, well, see, she takes care of herself. She
Exactly
take care of
right.
herself. But
So you-
also,
So Chester,
don't-
wait. So how would you compare her to Bridget Fonda then?
look at matter of fact, pull it up right now. Pull up the before and after
No,
of
thank
Bridget
you.
Fonda.
No, thank you. No.
Because you know I'm right.
No.
It'll
It
prove
has
my
nothing
point.
to do with you being right. We're just not going to deviate from our view on black women to deviate to a white woman because of you.
And that the woman on stage, even though she's look good for her age, she's way past her baby making prime.
Who cares
Not that that's
about that?
not that. Let me finish. Not that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm just saying she's past her baby making prime.
Yeah, you're right. I was gonna say he acting like these men are willing to stay in the home and be an actual father for 18 years. So her value
I
is
can't,
quantity.
ma'am. I can't speak for every other man out there, but if I did the deed and I got someone
Oh,
pregnant,
please shut
I
up.
would take
Chester,
care of
you
my
can't speak for every
responsibilities.
other man until we start talking about black women. Then every black man can speak for every black man,
I
white
can
man,
talk about the
Asian
data.
man, Korean
I can
man,
talk about the data.
every Hispanic man. They can speak for everybody when they want to talk about black
No, you
women.
can't. We
But when
can't
someone
generalize.
directs a question to a black man about other black men, all of a sudden they can't speak for other black men.
Not with any authenticity, they can't.
Neither can they speak for other demographics of men with any authenticity, but they do.
We can look at the data though.
The data says what about black men? So go ahead and speak the data. Go ahead and tell us about the data in terms of what she just asked you.
The data about what?
About black men raising their children in the home.
I don't know. What's it say?
I thought
don't
you
have
said
any
you had
children,
data.
so
I thought you said you.
I don't have any kids.
No, but you said you had data.
I said look at the data.
But you have to have you if you're telling us to look at data, it tells
How
us
many?
that you already had looked at the data, so you must have the data.
So what's the
what data
question?
are we looking at?
How many black fathers are in the homes? I have no idea. A better question would probably be how many black mothers
No, a
play
better
keep away
question
with
would
the
be
kid.
just to put you on mute because I'm not in the mood.
Okay, wait. Let me clear something up, Chester. Just because I like you, Chester. When you make a statement like, "Well, look at the data," or statement like, "Well, the numbers say," you tend to lead people to believe that you've seen and you've consumed the data and you have the proof. We're considering that. I mean, Chevaun, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are that these guys really aren't being realistic as usual. And they think in concepts of perfection in a world that exists in the complete opposite.
We don't think
So-
about perfection. We know
Yes,
the
you
world
are.
is
You
far
are
from
because
perfect.
that's vanity. Yes,
No,
it
we're
is.
not.
Because
No, we're not.
perfection is,
The world is
listen,
far from perfect.
no, but you're thinking in terms of vanity, and vanity, there's a certain
I don't think
form of
about vanity.
perfection. Yes, it is. That's all men think about is vanity. That's why you want a young woman. That's why you want the baddie. That's why you want to sit here and try to transform your life at 60, 70, 80 so that you can look good. And you need some type of feminine aspect to be able to grab upon. That's why you need a car. That's why you need the jewelry. That's why you need the money. That's why you need the woman. Those are all feminine attributes. So you're nothing standing on your own. Behind every great man is what? A greater woman, because everybody wants to know what is going on behind the scenes with that man, aka who is the woman that he is with. Even in terms of a homosexual male, there's always going to be some type of muse, some type of other feminine influence that is inspiring and motivating him. So, men need women in that regard, and that's why you guys want to fight. And you want to try to dominate and project your imperfections and your lack thereof on women, when we can move on. Once we are past having children, we still may have to raise our grandchildren. There are other things that can happen in real life. And you guys think in terms of vanity. You always want to reactivate your life in newfound perfection, and it doesn't exist. Most men do not want to take care of these children in their 20s. How you turning around 55 with a bad back, wanting to pick up a toddler? Let's stop it.
None of that pertained to me. None of what you say pertained to me.
It doesn't have to be personal for you in particular, Chester. We're talking about, we're having a
Well, you're
generalized.
describing a caricature at best.
No, actually, I'm describing what the stats already show. You're the one talking about bringing up stats. If most of these men are not around to raise these children in their primary years, then how are they coming back reactivating that in their latter years? That makes no sense at all. And you know that that's what men are saying in these spaces. You know that that's what Kevin was sitting there promoting, talking about men reactivating their life in their latter 50s and producing new children. That's the whole point of what we were talking about earlier with Alan Roger Curry, a man who has a 3-year-old child that will grow up fatherless because he waited to his latter years to have a child. This is real life. Like, I don't know why y'all don't see that. Furthermore, there is no hitting the wall for a woman, period, because women are resources for life. Women are being scammed right now. Elderly people, elderly women across this country since the pandemic. I don't know if you've been looking, because everybody's been Simple Simon with this gender war rhetoric. Meanwhile, older women are getting their property taken. They're signing poor contracts. A lot of things are going on behind the scenes from scammers. People
The
are
media
being
is pushing a gender war.
Listen. Okay. Women have been getting manipulated from overseas. All type of stuff has gone on with women in their older years. Let's not forget the predatory behavior of some of these men from an SA standpoint. They're going around and assaulting older women. So there's no way that you can tell me that there's a time and space for a woman to no longer matter to the point where she becomes invisible, to where she is not prey to a predator. Prove that to me, and then
no one should be prey.
Then you can prove a wall exists.
Chester, I have a question. So let me get your observation of the wall, then. Let me hear yours.
I gave you an observation already.
Okay, so
50-year-old you is not gonna look like your 20-year-old you.
You mean when you were talking about a woman?
Yes.
That's vanity. Okay. That's vanity. You just proved my point. That's vanity.
Okay.
Men care about youth and beauty, though.
The same could be said about men.
It can be. You're right.
Women do as well, because that's the whole.
But men aren't judged by our beauty. Men are judged by their accomplishments.
But nature, but the law of nature shows that there needs to be. Let me tell you something. If we were in a lab with a scientist and we needed to repopulate, do you think that they're going to be concerned with older men repopulating, or do you think they're going to gather the young, viable people to come together to repopulate our world?
If there's a village with one man and 100 women, that man could
No,
impregnate
there's
every
no. No,
woman.
you're not answering my question. You can't change the terms. I'm saying because I'm talking about
But if there's
science.
one woman in
Science
100 men,
said that we need
she can
young,
only get pregnant
viable
by one
people.
guy, and she's off the market
No,
for at least 9 months and recovery time after that. So
you
It's
derailing
not
what I
even
just
9
said.
months. It's more than 9 months. It's actually
I
almost
said
2
recovery
months.
time after that.
No, pregnancy. Recovery has nothing to do with it, sir. That's what I'm talking about. These Neglodites don't know anything about
Yeah, they
science. They
don't know
don't know anything
anything.
about data. They don't know anything about anything, but yet they're on here as if
You
they're.
don't know anything about anything.
No, you don't. As if
You
they're
guys
some
don't
type
even
of
know
subject
basic
matter
biology. You guys don't understand basic biology because at the end of the day, a
Okay,
woman
well,
wants
answer
to
me
mate.
this.
A
At what
woman
age
wants
does
to mate with a
70%?
viable male. A woman wants to mate with a viable male so that she could be able to have a strong child as well. And looking at a balding old man with a saggy belly hanging over his gut does not seem like a viable mate to me to produce a potential genius of a child.
And over my belt.
You back. Okay, so Chester, let me get this again. Did you see my conversation about
They never
issues that
answer
men
my
have?
question though.
Did you see my conversation about how men hit the wall?
A man
Do you remember?
if a man don't take care of himself, yeah, I mean, he
I
gonna
mean,
look
no,
like
but
he
don't
gonna
you
look like
think?
Dookie.
Okay, what wasn't it Kevin Samuels who said that men are supposed to lead with their wallets, right? And he said that men are supposed to provide and all that kind of stuff, right? And then what they get in return, right? They get, fit, feminine, submissive, so on and so forth, right? Is that right?
Kevin Samuels was trying to hook up a bunch of old people.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that you did hear that. So this is the point. If a black man is making $643,500 a year, right? And women, God forbid them hitting the wall. So we're talking about young women, right? In Kevin Samuels speak, right? Let's say they're around. Can you tell me how somebody making 43.5 can afford fit, feminine, friendly, and submissive?
I don't think somebody making 43.5. They're probably paying for it, so they don't have to deal with all that foolishness.
No, I didn't ask
But
you that.
how is
Though.
a 43.5 going to pay for anything?
So okay, hold on. So
everybody's selling it nowadays. You ever been to Seeking Arrangements?
No. But Chester, I don't want to go there. I just want to go with my question answer thing here. What I'm saying is this. So are you saying a person can or cannot afford 43.5 even if they don't pay for it?
You asking the wrong questions.
No. I'm just asking you to answer the question. If somebody is making 43.5, can they afford a fit, feminine, friendly, and submissive woman to stay at home?
Depends on your location. You know that. Depends on your
Hell
location.
no, they can't afford it no matter what the location.
You can in Thailand.
Especially
you can in Mexico.
Sir, shut up. I can't, DJ. I'm sorry. I don't. This guy does not have good faith conversations. Every time we talk to him, he deviates to something else. He goes across the world. He morphs back to 1940. Then he talks about himself when we're talking about generalizations. I just can't. I don't like having conversations with people who don't have good faith discourse. Like that's asinine. You can't reason with people who are unreasonable.
So
Yeah, it's just no way of having a conversation.
Yeah. So I answer for Chester. Chester, can you afford it if you were making 43.5 a year? Can you afford fit, feminine, friendly, submissive woman that includes, keeping? She needs a car, she needs jewelry, she needs all that other stuff. The answer is probably going to be no. Let's just go to no. So then, wouldn't you consider that the man himself making 43.5, which is what Kevin Samuel said?
If the woman is a breadwinner, why can't she take the lead then?
Why can't she pack?
Because
what?
Okay, it's
What?
okay.
It's over. The eject button, I couldn't help it. I just pressed the eject button. I
What?
couldn't
What?
help it.
He said, "Why can't she take the lead?"
Yeah, I couldn't help it. It doesn't even matter. I just hit the eject button. It's
Yeah,
gone.
because that makes no sense when they're talking about leadership, and he's one of the main ones that always is talking about it. So now it's like, are you getting ready to, display hypocrisy here
All
against
the
the
time, at all times, every time it opens its mouth. Yes. Jenny B says, "Oh my FG, the dusty rhetoric is so embarrassing. Y'all have not had an original thought since. Like I know what they're about to say before it leaves their mouth. They say the same
right,
S over and over."
You
right.
know what? They are promoting prostitution, OnlyFans, and they don't know that they promoting that, but that's what they're promoting.
And then
Because
the Negladite came up here and talked about something I've never heard of about
he
tricking.
said seeking arrangements. Seeking arrangements is the same thing as OnlyFans. The only
Right.
thing is seeking an arrangement. So you're actually paying the woman for her services. So that's what they are
But
promoting.
Chester,
but
just
can
so
we
you
be
know, I
clear?
still love you, but I mean, Jim and I was right. I mean, you weren't. What I was looking for was simple questions and simple answers, and we nothing, complicated. The fact of the matter is, I'll just go ahead and answer for you. Is that basically the bottom line is this: is that actually men hit the wall before women hit the wall. I'm going to go ahead and make the statement. Men hit the wall before women hit the wall. We hit it financially, and then we hit it with our health. First, it's financial because this 43.5, which is what Kevin Samuel said, right? Kevin Samuel said 43.5. Cynthia G didn't say 43.5. We just all agreed 43.5 because Kevin Samuel said it was 43.5. 43.5 a year for your lifetime. Okay? And then that's hitting the wall hard. That's hitting the wall hard right there. So basically, you're telling a gender of your own women that you're hitting the wall. You're telling women you can't even afford, that you're hitting the wall, that they're hitting the wall. When you already hit the wall financially. I mean, the wall's the wall. I mean, you can be in tip-top shape, but if you can't afford to support somebody, then what good is mocking somebody for hitting a wall? That's why Chantel Simone looks stupid right now. Telling men over and over again, oh, women hit the wall. Women hit the wall. When it doesn't matter, you're talking to a bunch of people who already hit the wall. Why am I saying this? Because through what all you guys are going to interpret as disrespect toward the black man is actually a very simple solution for the black man. Is raise your worth. It's that simple. That's all you got to do. But you're not done yet because it's not just going to be about money. You will attract more women. But if you're a jerk, you're going to attract women that deal with jerks, and they're going to want some money because they know that if I'm going to put up with this jerk, AKA Kim Kardashian, he going to pay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And can I say something, DJ?
Absolutely, Chevaun.
Speaking of which, and I hope Chester's listening because he brought up Bridget Fonda earlier, but in fact, Jane Fonda at the age of 85, despite the fact I know we're talking about black women, but I just have to put this out here, this information out here. because Jane Fonda was recently paid and hired by a billionaire to be escorted to a red carpet event. So at the tender age of 85, Jane Fonda's still getting flued out and paid. And guess what? She got more than that 43.5. Just a little FYI. That's why I said a woman is a resource and an asset for life, forever. A woman don't hit the wall.
And it's really weird how we come
Especially the more viable that she is in terms of physicality, because she's still able to help with children. You know, these men are getting checks off of their mothers and getting a wife to look after the mom while they get money off of the mom. It's all type of scams going on. But the bottom line is women are an asset, period.
Boom.
I wanted to address something real quick before we land. A lot, and it's no shade to the person that said this, because it's been asked a lot of times. But they talk about why, if Black women is the most educated demographic, why isn't their earnings higher? Why don't we make more money than Black men? The reason being is that you have to understand that this is something that's new. Black women have just become higher, just been the face of higher learning. You see what I'm saying? It's not as though this is something that we've been in over a multitude of years. So it takes time for those degrees to pay off. And a lot of times, these women that are getting these degrees, even people, I won't even just say women, a lot of people that get degrees don't know how to make those degrees work for them. And they're not seeking the right information. They're not networking. They're not asking the right questions. They're not asking where they need to go with those degrees that could produce them the most amount of money. And I've seen and encountered several women that have degrees, and they just don't know what to do with it, and they're mad and they're disgruntled because they're not making those degrees work for them. You can get a degree in anything and it worked for you. So it's about information. It's about finding the information that you need to do what you need to do to make it work for you. And a lot of people aren't doing that, and they've become disgruntled because they've spent the time getting their higher education and they don't know what to do with it, or they think that they deserve a specific job because they have a degree, or deserve specific earnings because they have a degree. Well, the thing about it is you're still going to be entry level with your degree because you don't have the experience, and things take time. And we live in a microwave society. People want things instantaneously. They don't want to work for it. They don't want to work hard for it. They just want it instantly. Like, I graduated from college. Now, where's my job? Well, you have to go look for that job. And then you have to go look for the right job that will serve the purposes that you want. And even in doing that, you still have to climb. Like, nobody's handing you a position and you working. I've heard several times people say, well, I give the minimum to my job. Well, if you give the minimum, how do you expect to get a promotion? So, you have a lot of lazy people. You have people who just don't have the resources to go out and find the jobs that will serve them. So that's what we're working with in terms of a lot of the problems with people getting education and not making the money that they could be making.
I am Ernestine Shepherd. I am 85 years of age, and guess what? I've still got it.
Still got it, indeed. This octogenarian athlete refuses to let anything stop her.
My mantra is determined, dedicated, disciplined to be fit, to get out and exercise. I don't let anything get in the way.
Ernestine's journey to health and fitness started when she was 56 years old, with a promise to her sister Velvet shortly before she passed away.
She held her head up and said, I want you to promise me that you will continue to help others to live a positive, confident lifestyle.
I'm going to pause it right there, only because I don't. Today is a pretty big show, but y'all get the point. She ain't got no problem with no wall. That's for sure. She's fit, feminine, friendly. I don't know her. Submissive. You could tell she's old-fashioned by just her cadence. Jay Daniels says, the wall is undefeated. You are absolutely right, Jay Daniels, because the men can't get over it. That's why they love Kevin Samuels so much, Jay Daniels. Because of the problem that us black men have is that we don't think the wall refers to us at all. You're right. The wall is undefeated. We're at a wall of 43.5K a year for our lifetime. That is one hell of a wall. I'll tell you one thing, Jay Daniels. The wall being undefeated at 43.5K a year, that doesn't buy no fit, feminine, submissive, friendly, can cook. That doesn't buy that. 43.5 don't get it. It doesn't get it. So we can mock all we want about wall this and wall that. The wall is undefeated coming from a guy who's 6 feet under. That's gotta sound weird.
You can't make this up, man.
And mind you, they're speaking for women who are the carriers of the children, as if women aren't, okay whether they have children or not. Once you come to an understanding with yourself, that's on women. So it's like, how are you sitting here trying to convince women that they're upset about something, an experience that only they can go through, that you never can go through? So how are you telling me that I'm missing childbearing years if I've already had children, raised children? There's nothing to miss. I've already had that experience and I've moved on in life. So how are you now trying to badger me with something that I've already lived and or decided I didn't want to live through that? So that makes no sense at all, because it's not even something that you could relate to. You're not a woman.
And they're upset because we're unbothered.
Right.
Like we're seriously unbothered. And they're the only ones that are consuming themselves with this proverbial wall. Women are going about their business while these men are worried about sexual access, sexual market value, whatever else that they're worried about, high value men. Women have gone on, they've turned around and done an about face. They're moving upward, and they're not concerning themselves with what these men are doing. And they're going to become more and more disenchanted and disgruntled. And again, they're going to turn within themselves and to themselves, because that's all they have. We're going to see an exponential hike in homosexual activity with these men.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's already going on anyway. The bottom line is that they always just felt like they would have a black woman to come and be with, because they already know that they're not loyal within themselves. So they can't rely on each other. So they always need a fallback woman. They need a play sister. They need a godmother. They need an auntie or a granny, somebody who, is a default setting. And now the more and more that women begin to see, since you're sitting here saying it in chat rooms and on these podcasts, that women have no value, then y'all mamas and aunties and everybody is watching. So go ahead and continue to tell on yourself and how you don't feel gratitude or the fact that you don't feel like women have a value. Go ahead. Keep saying it out loud.
And what's funny is that they come into our spaces. We're having a conversation about life, about careers, about education, and they come into our conversations, but we're the ones that are bothered. They come into these comment sections and they harass the hell out of Black women, but we're the ones that are bothered. Like, right. It's hilarious. Ask Pretty Black Magic, Feisty Black Magic, how many Dusty she's had to kick out or delete comments. Ask Bourbon Bougie how many guys she's had to delete from her comment section. Like, right. they're dripping in desperation just to be in proximity to women, because they're not in their day-to-day life.
But see, they always have done that, because even if you look at old school shows, who always came and crashed the girls' slumber party? It was the boys. It was never the other way around, because girls wasn't interested. When we get together, we interested in doing girly things. They're the ones worried about what the girls are doing. So,
Mm-hmm.
once again, art it continues to imitate life. They're more consumed and they're more concerned, and that's why they're running around. This is a last ditch effort to try to sit here and subdue women. And you're not going to hush us. You're not going to censor us from being able to talk about our experiences and being able to relate and share information. It's over.
And again, you pointed to something earlier about they don't have each other. They don't have one another.
Oh, they don't know. They know they're not loyal.
Right. And the only thing, let a pretty woman into the room. Let a viable pretty woman with an active womb hit the room.
Mm-hmm.
And what's going to happen amongst those men?
They're going to all start hating on each other and acting a fool.
A cat among the pigeons.
Yep. And I don't understand. It's like, for me, Gemini, it's like, for me, it's like, a man, if he walks into the bar, he wants all the women to want him because that's their ego. But for a woman, it would be dangerous for us to walk in and all the men in the bar want us. How you gonna leave? How you gonna leave the bar? How you gonna make it to the parking lot?
Come on.
So it's just
it's because they don't understand that. They really honestly don't understand that. They don't understand that a lot of things that women do is for their safety. Like this thing about smiling at strange men, giving them attention. Black women don't smile. White women have a society that surrounds them. All they have to do is pick up the phone and dial 911 and lie on you, and they're coming. Let a black woman call and she's and they hear that she's a black woman. They're going to ask her like a gazillion questions and ask her if she can move out of the situation and can she put herself in safety and all kinds of 50 million questions. But that white woman, all she has to do is shed one little tear, and that Negro is going down. So it's our safety. No, I'm not smiling at everyone. And I learned that at a young age because I grew up in the city and I went to school in the city, in the inner city. So no, I wasn't smiling. I was traveling by myself. No, I wasn't smiling at everybody. So no, I don't
do
that.
See the vanity? Do you see the vanity in that? And that's why I keep saying that it's vanity. It all goes back to vanity, and it goes back to living in delusion, because where is the certain feminine aspects coming from in regards to the kind of world that we live in? So it's like, clean up the world amongst men, and then maybe we could come out and be jolly and say, hey, jolly-o, and all of that. But we're not doing that in the cities and the crowded places in which we live in. That is not protocol, and especially for Black women. So they're trying to create a delusion that, for us, that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
And now that we're fighting out of it, saying, no, this ain't really, this ain't how it really is. They're fighting a tooth and nail, and then trying to tell us that we have no value. Meanwhile, they're out here scamming in the real estate market, scamming credit cards, scamming overseas with love and dating, scamming in every which way, shape, or form to take things from women, including going into their homes, snatching purses, all type of crime. There is no way you could sit here and tell me that a woman is not an asset. Anytime a kid could go outside and snatch a purse off of an old woman, that means she still is a viable asset. If that's the case, ignore her, and then there should be no crime. And then, hey, the girls will be waiting to line up to turn a certain age. What? I be ignored? Nobody's gonna prey upon me? Woo! Can't wait till I hit 30.
And there was a guy he was over 6 feet. He was a Black guy. He was over 6 feet tall. And he was having a conversation about why are these guys so upset about women wanting someone 6 feet tall. Do you understand the reason why they want someone 6 feet tall? It's for protection. They view height and stature as a protective, as something that's protective to them. Do you want to know why they want that 6 feet man that's protective to them? And this is what he's saying. He said, because of men.
Right.
They're in danger from other men, and so they're picking the biggest man that they think that can protect them. So it's not just they want 6 feet because some 6 feet is just some goddess statue, but they represent something of protection. So there will be no need for you 6 feet for the 6 feet ninjas if the 5 foot below ninjas, 5 foot below 6 feet and then just wasn't out here committing all the crimes. Like, you wouldn't need that type of protection. Women need that protection from men. It's not women that are harming other women in mass like that. Women just aren't doing that. Men are killing one another every 2 hours. And I'm talking about amongst the Black demographic. They're killing one another every 2 hours. So they have no protection for themselves against themselves. But some kind of way, we're not in danger.
And then who's taking care of them in these hospice care facilities? Who are the
Women.
nurses?
Women.
Right. So once again, a lot of these women are of, what is that, post-wall, but they over here picking you up, lifting you up and changing your diaper because you can't do it. And y'all in there as young as what? 42 now. Ooh, that's kind of young to be in a facility with nobody coming to visit you.
And but that's something they never talk about is that they say that, okay, I acknowledge, and that's going to happen to me. So you acknowledge that you're going to die alone, but you're always saying that Black women are the ones that are going to die alone. No, you already know that it's you, and you're projecting that onto Black women, because by and large, Black women have people around them.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, to me, it's just like projection, because they're even moving back home. So if a woman has hit the wall, why are you moving back home to your mama house? Why is it that the elders now are dipping into their 401k and retirement plans? And yes, the facts are there. Look it up. It's there. Why are these older people having to dig into their money to help out their sons because they're failing?
Not only that, they're going back to work. A lot of them, the crazy part is a lot of them have to go back to work to even afford their own medication. But you have this son that's not doing what he can do, doing his best in society, who wants to move back home and mooch off you at the same time.
Right. And then it's a heavy influx of them, I'm noticing too. It's not just the younger men that are unaliving the mothers. I've noticed that it's an influx of them that are in their latter 40s.
Mm-hmm. And now they're committed to killing their children as well.
Right.
Before they weren't killing the children like that. They were just killing the woman and leaving the kids to be orphaned. But now they're committed to killing children as well. Especially if the child is not theirs. If they're with a woman, they have a child with the woman, they'll kill all the other kids and leave their child alive. As if that makes some type of sense, because their child is orphaned too. Like it doesn't even make sense.
Yep. So it's just like, it's no way that they can sit here and say that. And the fact that everything is made out to be sexual, I hope that even young women, as they listen and watch in these spaces, they see, because no time like now have the receipts really been coming out in the rents of this whole entire situation. So you can hear it for yourself. It's like, now it's no longer the old, they hating. We don't have to say that. They telling on themselves now. So go ahead and keep saying that women have no value, so that way you could get cut off and get liquidated and go hit the pavement and go figure it out for yourself.
And I hope they understand that. I really do hope they understand that. It's crazy, because a lot of Black women are saying, "No, I'm good. Like, I don't want any children. Like, I don't want them at all." Because if they're turning out like this, what benefit is it?
Well, yeah, now women don't want to sacrifice like that, because they've seen too many different, type of generations. And then on top of that, they're getting the information out of these spaces. So this is like a word, a global phenomena. You get to hear all different type of women from different walks of life be able to talk about their experiences. And, then you could find a happy medium and be able to make a decision. That's why I said these are all, all of these scare tactics aren't working. They're just not working, because these girls already see that it's just too many generations that have gone through the same themes. It doesn't even matter married or not. You know what I mean? So it doesn't even matter if they all start marrying and all of that today. That doesn't mean anything. We've already seen women have to do it by themselves within these marriages.
Right.
You even have these divorce attorneys coming out and saying the same things within these stats. So even these people in these professional settings, they know as well that women are opting out because they're doing everything and they don't want to have to.
Exactly. That's exactly it. They've seen their mothers or grandmothers work like mules and work outside the home. And they figured out that there is no benefit in that. And so these guys that are asking for traditional marriages, only the pick-me-shas and the mammies are willing to submit to something that doesn't benefit them in the least, where they're going to be working outside the home, caring for the children, cleaning the home, cooking the meals, and being, sexual conquest for the man, all whilst he still gets to only work one job, cut the grass every two weeks, take the trash out once a week. I mean, his job, and what he benefits is far greater than what a woman would benefit. And she has to keep herself on top of all of that, and he still ends up doing whatever it is that he wants to do outside of the home. So these women are seeing that if they're going to partner, they have to be extremely, extremely, extremely selective with whom they decide to partner with. And again, the stats don't lie. Black men aren't marrying anybody in large numbers.
No.
So if their dream is to be married, they're going to have to open up their options, because even if black men start marrying, by and large, that the ones that are free and not homosexual, not in prison, not homosexual, not down low, even if those men that are left start marrying, black women still outnumber them. So there's still not enough men to go around. So black women need to open up their options.
Yeah, and I don't understand why, too. I wanted to clarify because, they keep saying legacy, and legacy is not children. Leaving behind a legacy is not children. A legacy is an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. So them saying leaving a legacy behind, you don't even have property or money to leave in a will, then you're not leaving behind a legacy.
That part, because Roger Allen Curry didn't leave. What did he leave? What legacy did he leave? Dust.
He
a
left
whole
nothing.
bunch of pimpology.
Right.
But y'all mind if I get in on this?
Get
This
in.
Jay
Go ahead.
Daniels
Tag DJ.
comment.
Tag.
Jay Daniels says, DJ Torch, most black men love black women, but they stabbed us in the back. What's this? Actually, Jay
How
Daniels,
so?
if we look at the stats, it's black men we're literally stabbing each other in the back. I mean, usually we're shooting each other, but we're literally stabbing each other in the back. Secondly, I want you to name a race of woman that has done or tried more for the black man than black women. I'll wait.
While you wait, I want them to also say what demographic of women was enslaved at the same time doing the same thing that the men were doing. I'll wait for that, because I swear they think that we just were put in a corner, and placed on a pedestal while they were working the fields. When every image I've ever seen as it pertains to slavery was a black woman out there, and many times with a baby on her back picking cotton or
Well,
working
you
the
know
tobacco
why?
fields.
But you know why though?
Why is that?
You know why they see us that way, and this is just my opinion. I've thought about that, and I feel like it goes back to the sexual aspect. And this just goes to show you how dark that these guys are, because somehow they have correlated the fact that because black women are women and were able to be quote unquote bed wenches, that we were in a better position. So this goes back to how we are objectified and within a sexual aspect. And this is where it comes from, because somehow they've convinced themselves that the black woman had the better life from being able to, have the slave master jump up and down on her. It's all sexual.
Yeah. And in that specific part.
Give me 1 second. Jay, you know what the OJs were, who were referring to who was the backstabbers in the backstabbers saw other black men. Other black men trying to take your woman, smiling in your face all the time. They want to take your place. The backstabbers.
Oh, Lord.
Backstabbers. They're talking about they're talking about other black men. Not black women. Okay, I'm done.
And they do, even black men want to take black women's place. Let's just be real.
Right, because I don't understand where the backstabbing is coming from and what even what they mean when they say that, because I've seen that quite a few times, and they can't even say what it means other than the fact that, like I said, they just want to be able to use us as a viable resource. And in fact, you're actually stabbing yourselves, because you're sitting here continuing to be motor mouths and you burning bridges. So go ahead, let the baby burn all the way down to the ground.
Yep. I mean, the OJs. The backstabbers.
Hey, I'm sorry. Can I say
the
something
remainder of
about
the day. What do you guys think?
Go ahead,
Hey,
Deonte.
Chevaun, earlier when she was talking about basically sexual deviance and everything during slavery, I came up with this theory years ago called ANS, Autonomous Negro Syndrome. Basically, like where black people used to have to be basically brainwashed by white supremacy and white people to do things. And I say somewhere in the mid 80s to early 90s, they kind of like let us go, like how you let a kid go when he riding the bike for the first time without training wheels. And now we don't need them to remote control us as much. So back during the slavery time, and kind of going back to the pro athletes that we talked about earlier, they would take the biggest buck slaves on the plantation, and they would reward them for being such big, good slaves, especially if they worked well, and they would let them have sex with, the black women, female slaves all day long, like a breeding field to make more big, stronger slaves. And that became something that I think stuck with us for a long time, even to this day, because we are overly sexually perverted in our community. And I believe this came from Europeans during the slavery times, because they got serious issues. What they were doing to us during slavery times sexually was some of the worst shit you could ever think of. I mean, they had never teach this stuff in like public school or anything, but they were raping the kids. They were dressing little 8-year-old slave boys up, younger than that, as girls. They were raping whole families in front of chained up husbands and vice versa, raping the husbands in front of the kids and the wife of the slave wife. It was disgusting. But they weaponized sex on both sides, for the men and for the women. And that is a part of the crab in the barrel syndrome, where when you in the thick of slavery, in the thick of, I'm talking about where your mom, great grandma, and great great grandma was slaves, and your kids are slaves, right? The men would basically get jealous of the bucks who was able to go in there and have their pickings or whatever woman that they wanted, and they was allowed to disrespect them the same way the white slave master could. They could call them whatever. They basically could rape them, and it just created a ridiculous psychological, disgusting cesspool that still lives to this day in a lot of men.
Yeah, I mean, that's an understandable theory. However, we're so far removed from that, and we're able to confront these terms and conditions. So it's like when I hear these arguments, it's like, okay, well, what are you doing to be able to heal from past life traumas? Where is the reading, going back to school, working on your mindset, instead of just sitting around using these talking points as an excuse to continue the cycle. The problem was lack of education. It was lack of opportunity. So those people were forced and in bondage in that way. So it was beyond just being property. It was the fact that they weren't even allowed to partake in life itself. Now the chains have been broken in terms of us being able to make certain choices and decisions. Women are, in fact, particularly Black women, are more recently out of bondage than Black men in a lot of ways, just due to societal standards that had nothing to even do with us being Black, but just being women. So it's like it always comes off to me as a backhanded excuse on reserve. You know what I mean?
I know what you, and see, that's why I came up with that concept of autonomous Negro syndrome, because it's like, I remember my aunt had adopted these dogs one day, and I'm not trying to compare us to dogs, but just go with me real quick. And one of the dogs' name was Ebony, and she would never leave her cage because she used to get beat all the time. So she would open up the cage doors, and all the dogs would run out, and Ebony would stay in in the corner of the cage. When she closed the cage door, she would wag her tail, walk around, be happy. When she opened it up, she would go into the corner and start shaking. And it's almost like you don't have the slave under control when he's in chains. You got him under control when you taking him off the chain. They used to I hear Black people always say, especially Black men, they be like, they watch the slave movie. They be like, man, that couldn't have been me back then because I wouldn't have. I'm looking at them like, nigga, yes, you would have. It's easy to say that, but you ain't never seen a man get his spine pulled out right in front of you, a random person. You never had your family telling you got to act like this, to the point to where it just lasted, because white people never left. That's the issue. If we would have left slavery and been put in a place with no white people and we could really heal ourselves, we'd have been cool. But they always keep us under constant stress.
Actually, no. Let me disagree with you, because by asking you, don't you think that this is actually worse? That mental slavery is worse than actual physical bondage?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Wait a minute. Let me cut in for a second. That's not true, because if you look at Haiti, Haiti is a prime example. They were left to themselves, but look at it.
No, you're right. The Haiti gets nothing though. They get no kind of support from anybody, especially from the UN. When they got hit by that, I can't remember when it was. I think I was in high school when they got hit by
but they were supposed to make their own way. That's what I'm saying. They were supposed to make their own. They fought for freedom. They got freedom. And your premise earlier was, if